Welcome. I'd like to call to order the Winchester Planning Board meeting of Tuesday, January 13th. I'm just going to go quickly over the agenda, and then we will move directly into public hearing. We'll have a roll call vote to go into public hearing. Tonight we have a public hearing on special permit PP 25-6, which is for 10 Converse Place. After that, we have other business, board and staff updates, other business, and approval of minutes, which I think actually we have already done those, so I think that's redundant. And we have an adjournment. So while we have a short agenda, it's going to be a long meeting, I believe. So with that, I would welcome a motion to move into the public hearing.
So moved.
Seconded.
And we will need a roll call. Carrie?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. So tonight we have with us Kate Connolly, Town Council. And so thank you for being here tonight, throwing you into the deep end in the middle of this project, but we appreciate your help along the way. We also have Matt Schuman here, Town Engineer, if we have additional questions for him regarding some of the things along the way. My hope tonight is to proceed in this fashion. We left off our last meeting about to start looking at site plan review. So it would be my goal to work on site plan review, the 12 conditions for standards for site plan review. I'd like to end that at a time certain, which would be 8:45 p.m. At that time, I'd like to invite the applicants up. You had asked a question at the last meeting about some issues. I'd like to have them be able to address that. It's obviously, we won't be able to respond to anything because we're just learning tonight if they have anything they have to say. And then at 9 o'clock, I'd like to move to public comment. They'll have heard everything that's been said. We will not have voted on the special permit at that time. And we will not be planning on voting on the special permit tonight. So if you're here thinking this is the end, it's not, but it's perhaps toward the end. And then we'll have public comment for a half an hour. I won't be limiting anyone's time for public comment, but we will be ending in about half an hour after that. So if hopefully people can help let people who have not spoken before come up, but I won't be limiting that. So,
Excuse me.
yes.
During the discussion of the site plan review, I have a few questions that only the applicant can answer. Can we have the applicant for those questions?
If you have a question that we do not have an answer for, I see they are here tonight, so we can bring them over. I will respectfully ask them to come over, address any questions that you may have, and then I will boot them from the table as quickly as I invited them over, so they won't be just sitting around at the table.
One other point of order is that we have a memo from them dated January 6th that addresses questions that we ended the last meeting with that may or may not impact site plan review. I don't know if that would be.
So if they impact any aspect of site plan review and you feel that the information at this point in time, we don't have enough to address any individual standard of site plan review, then we can vote that we need more information and go to that.
Okay.
Basically, I'm trying to pick up exactly where we dropped off last meeting, which was we were going to move directly into site plan review. It was a long meeting. And if there's anything in here that you feel might be impacted by that, when they come up, we can hear from them. But we certainly don't have enough time to hear from them. And then we would want to also hear from the public before any decisions were made on anything from that memo.
Okay.
So that's why I was thinking at 8:45, we'll hear it. We will not necessarily get into it a lot. We'll then hear from the public who can respond. We'll heard it basically at the same time we're hearing it. So.
Great, carry on.
I just had two questions. At some point, will we have a chance to talk about what options there are to get it down to 5 floors? So I'm eager to sort of hear the response to that and be able to discuss it. And also, when we go through site plan review, are we voting, or are we just kind of are we voting in favor or against site plan review on each one? So for the project or against the project?
So for each standard, we need to vote, and we can vote in a number of ways. I'm not going to tell you how to vote. We can have conditions. we can say that we need more information, or we can just vote up or down with conditions, or that we need more information. No, I guess if we need more information, it's not an up or down. So we can ask them to address that, and if they're unable to, or we have to come back to that. That seems like the best plan.
I mean, do votes for the individual site plan items constitute a vote for the project? I don't understand how that works.
No, so the process is there are 12 sections to site plan review. You go through each one. For example, the first one is about traffic circulation and access. We'll show what section 7315.5.1 is in the bylaw, and then we'll show you what the plan that they submitted is to show their circulation and access. If you believe that has been that what is being presented is reasonably adequate, you can vote yes, it's reasonable. If you don't believe that it's reasonable, you can vote no, we need more information in order to make that determination. A lot of these are emergency vehicle access, pedestrian safety access, traffic circulation. They may not.
So
change
does a
based
vote
off
for, say, traffic circulation favorably indicate a favorable vote for the site plan review approval?
for that one section? Yes. Yeah, you will say yes. Yes, we are okay with moving forward with this transportation plan. But you're not voting. You're not approving the special permit by saying that you like the transportation plan.
Oh, okay, so there'll be a separate chance to approve the special permit?
Yes, we're not even discussing the special
Okay,
permit tonight.
okay.
We're only discussing what has been submitted in the plans.
Okay.
Much like what we see in the ZBA cases where we go over, the site plan review of an addition. Of course, this is a much larger project, but it's the very same thing. We go through the same criteria of if the information that is being presented to the board is adequate, we can move on to the next section.
So any other questions? My understanding is that at 8:45, even if we're not done with site plan review, we're going to invite, it's not my understanding, it's my anticipation, we'll invite the applicant up. And to your first question, if there's discussion of, if they're bringing something to the table about potentially having a fewer number of floors, that's something that they'll present, and we can discuss that. And if along the way there's any of these standards that you feel are impacted by that and that you would need more information, that's fine.
Right, my recollection was that in this packet, there was a section where that's still open, an open point where we can press on it to get one fewer floor.
Yes, and we voted to approve the height with conditions. But at the same time, if they had, Carrie had a direct question to them, which was what would need to change.
Right.
So if they come back with a proposed change.
That would seem like it's an important feature because, we are representing the town, and there's substantial concern about that additional floor. I guess in terms of when we think about our executive power, we should also think about the residents of Winchester.
And some of the standards, if you feel they're impacted by that you couldn't decide whether emergency vehicle access would, for example, was adequate, whether it was a 6-story building or a 5-story building, if you're saying, I'm not sure I have enough information, there may be some of these that you'll say, not sure we have enough information. There may be others where you say, I already have enough information, just need to give conditions. So with that, if people are generally in agreement, I'd like to start with the site plan review. And I guess probably the best is to pull up maybe section 6 of the staff report that you're all in receipt of.
Kudos on
Help
the
me
staff
bring that
report.
up.
Pardon me?
Kudos on the staff report.
Yes,
It's
indeed.
top tier.
What page?
No, we're looking for that, I believe. Is that?
Sure, we can bring that up, so just to whatever page my staff report is. Gee, can you just take this? Thanks.
We'll just yell at you when you need something. So the first standard is traffic circulation and access. And as you all are in receipt of the there it is, the staff report. I don't know if you all had a chance to look at the both the traffic report and the follow-up by Tool. And I don't know if there are any questions. Again, we have town engineer here if there are specific questions about the traffic impact. I'll open it up to questions from you guys about 7.3.15.51.
I have a comment or a question, actually. Several residents have raised questions around the question of delivery vehicles and where they will park and unload. I'm thinking particularly 38 moving vans when the place opens. The Urban Spaces report to us on page 34 of our package. On their page 7, they say deliveries in smaller trucks and vans can occur within Mount Vernon Street or Converse Place during low demand periods, unquote. Converse, yes, but obviously not Mount Vernon because from that corner all the way to the bridge is no parking because of the fire station, which means that all delivery vehicles will park on Converse. So it seems awfully crowded, and I know that a lot of the comments that we got from residents concerned that. There are 3 parking spaces when you first come around the corner onto off Mount Vernon, making a single traffic lane right there. So I guess, I don't know if this is a question for the applicant or not, but would we anticipate petitioning the town to revise the parking on Converse Place, number 1? And number 2, there has been discussion in the past, I've heard about, that there was idea of reversing the flow on Converse Place. And I wonder if that would improve the parking for unloading and whatnot. I don't know if the applicant has considered that or if the planning department has considered that.
We'd ask that to the town planner first, and then as far as, and then we can also invite them or the town engineer up if they're.
Do you want us to aggregate comments about that road first, or do you want
Yeah,
to take them
that's
one
a
at a
good
time?
idea. Yeah.
Okay. So additionally, in addition to what Jack's raising for concerns, there's a dumpster, and there's a mention in the packet that trash and recycling would be managed on the 10 Converse side of the building. So in addition to, I think, a visual we can all relate to in Boston, which is everybody unpacking on the same day.
Yes.
There's also
Exactly.
the ongoing management of trash and waste that has to be handled timely manner because it's restaurants. But so there's also that regular question. Will there be an inset for that, or is there? How does that not block the road routinely?
So we'll gather these up and
I don't. Yeah.
are there additional traffic?
I just want to just get a sense from my fellow board members if there's anything I've missed why we wouldn't want to approve this particular one.
We're gathering
Approve
information
what?
about that.
Okay.
Just
What do you
those
mean?
open questions, that's all.
Oh, okay, so
Otherwise, the traffic study was fine with me, but I still have these questions about loading and unloading.
So we're not
vehicles.
ready to approve that then as far as, I mean, I think we
Well,
need
we
that.
might be able to.
If I get satisfactory answers, yes.
Yeah, and I've said it before. I mean, we have the responsibility of this project, but we also, as a planning board, need to think holistically about, how far is someone going to have to walk to get, we just have to think about that road. It's very narrow, and it's a decent distance if you're parking on, I'm going to get the street wrong, Main Street, what's the other? Mount Vernon.
Mount Vernon.
By the way, the
Yeah.
plan shows doubling the width of the sidewalk on
Yeah, which I love.
Converse Place,
Yeah.
which is a big plus in my
There's,
mind.
and there was also a mention about potentially adding parking spaces to the parking lot. There was a mention in there of, I don't know if that was from the original set of plans, but it said there was a contemplation of going from 30 some odd spaces to a second story of 66 spaces. Is that part of the old plan?
We have questions about that too.
Okay, so that's one question, and whether or
thought it
not
was
some of those
hallucinating when I
spaces would
saw
be
that.
able to sort of would delivery trucks use some of that? So
Yeah.
that's I think that's all I have for that too.
So your sense is that we might need more time on this particular one?
Yeah, we're information gathering right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
John, do you have any? So the only comment I would make is I agree that on move-in day for 38 units, if they all chose to move in the same day, that would be kind of complicated. However, that's like the startup of anything, and after some amount of time, that's not going to be something you'd expect. Just like if everybody moved in on your street on the same day, it would be kind of complicated. So yes, there will be initial conditions, and then there'll be somebody moving out in and out once a year, probably something on the
Right,
order of that.
and I'm also thinking about delivery to the store on the Mount Vernon side. They would want to park as close as possible, maybe right across the street in front of the bank as a possibility, but otherwise they're stuck on Converse Place, I would think.
So we have those. Go ahead.
They park on Mount Vernon now when they deliver to Lucia's or.
That's true.
Yeah, I-
Just park in the
I've
middle of the road.
Frequently
I have sat there
double
and
parking.
watched them.
But some of this consideration should be an ask, do we need the select board to reassign parking spaces? Do we need, like, some of our responsibility is to the neighborhood as well?
Yeah, the Converse Place is so narrow, there's no opportunity to double park for a delivery
No,
truck, like
there's-
there is on Main Street or Mount Vernon.
There is really no space, and I'm not sure where China Sky delivery trucks already park. I don't know, because
I don't
there's
hang
not
out.
space to double park on that street.
No, there
really.
isn't.
They
It's pretty
pause
narrow.
at the door.
So do we want to, can you address any of those
Yeah.
open questions?
Ian, can you go to the applicant's recent submission and go to the, no, it's in the packet, their submission, and then one of the first attachments for their site plan. So to address a few of the things, Converse Place is rather narrow, and the reality of the firehouse being on Mount Vernon means that there can be no stopping or parking on Mount Vernon at any time, which then forces more traffic down Converse Place. We have discussed as staff reversing the flow of Converse Place, going from Maine to Mount Vernon instead of Mount Vernon to Maine. We have not come to a conclusion of if that is better or not. The three spots next to Scotty Insurance, it's our opinion, are likely going to have to be either removed completely or have to be turned into a loading area. That is going to be the responsibility of the select board to make that decision. The planning board can recommend that to the select board, but it's going to be the responsibility of the select board to make that decision. The dumpsters along for China Sky are currently encroaching into the public way. That's never been enforced, but we're going to have to come up with a way for our zoning enforcement officer to make sure that to either come up with a new solution with China Sky or to make sure that they do not encroach any further than they currently do, at least because it is going to be a restricted area. And yes, we do have general questions about the loading, specifically the loading, some of the snow management as well. When I say we, it's town staff, particularly me and the town engineer and the building commissioner, have met with the applicant, and we have come up with a few suggestions. The town engineer issued a memo in October, which we are expecting to have responses from the applicant to address a lot of our questions, and we would be comfortable with conditioning a lot of those on the approval of the special permit.
Am I overlooking the location of the trash area? I'm thinking of the building as being flush with an opening for parking. Where does the trash and recycling go outside the building?
For the proposed building, it is down at the bottom, close to where the existing building is.
Okay.
Close to the garage entrance.
Yeah, it's even further
Trying to
down.
picture, there's the electrical units and the garage entry. I'm
Yeah.
jumbled up there,
Yeah.
but that they're all down there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's mechanical room. Do I have that right?
Yeah, it's inside the building.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there precedent or opportunity to consolidate waste elimination with China Sky? Like, would that,
You're
it's tricky.
You're working with multiple entities. It's going to be difficult to negotiate that.
And this would be similar to what we saw on the Main Street project, where this would be waste for the residents as well as the commercial spaces.
That's correct.
Okay.
The other note that we have is a traffic management plan was submitted for the original project. It was reviewed again, and the result of that review was that the current plan has less of an impact than the previously approved plan.
Great.
So what do we have outstanding regarding traffic circulation beyond having a condition that the construction, staging, and ultimately the questions and comments by Matt Schuman are responded to, appropriately addressed? Are there other outstanding issues that we have right now?
One additional note from me is that from several of these, and you'll hear me say this a few times, particularly traffic, pedestrian safety, emergency vehicle access, they are mostly unchanged from the original project, especially considering the building still remains the same frontage on Converse Place. So all the conditions that we had in the original decision, particularly for these sections, we recommend keeping those conditions for this project as well.
The only other thing that just occurred to me is I'm thinking about people, the opening to the garage will be like
Approximately where the China Sky
Exactly.
bar is, where their bar is, yeah.
Right.
Right.
So I don't, like, I'm picturing downtown Boston where there's just like that loud announcement that a car is coming. We don't want that because it's
Well-
kind of, but what is the?
That is currently being recommended, but if
okay.
we want some other method of signaling should be there.
Okay.
There should definitely be some
Lights
signaling.
or something.
That's part of the
But if you
pedestrian
don't
safety
want
plan.
those big parking giant screaming signs, we can come up with another solution, but that is currently a recommendation
Okay.
that we have
I'm
made.
just thinking of disturbing the patrons at the China Sky Bar.
One indigestion.
Well, the China Sky patrons won't be able to double park directly outside of that front entrance, as some of us may be
Which, I mean,
known to
hopefully
do.
we have
We're
good
going to
foot
have to
traffic,
double
right?
park on the other
Hopefully-
side of the street now, so I think we should.
We'll have to
consider
find
that.
parking. We won't be able to double park.
No, to pick up takeout. We have to
Yeah.
double park.
Yes.
There's no way to get takeout without double parking.
Well, I mean, there's
Well,
fine parking.
is.
There's
You
finding
just-
parking.
But there's
in town.
no, easily, for mobility challenged people, there's really not.
Brian, there's not finding parking.
Double parking is illegal. I mean, we can't, like, that's not how we're, like, saying how that's how
don't do that,
takeout
do
gets
you?
done.
Is China Sky open to a drive-through window?
So, do we have enough information to move on? Traffic circulation and access?
Yeah, I think so.
There are
I
enough
think the
questions
questions are open.
You guys are comfortable?
I think that's it for me. I mean, the parking spaces are also narrow on, after the arm. I mean, kind of on the other side of the,
It
and Converse after the
may be
bend.
off the subject a bit, but I was looking at that today, all the way from the corner of Converse Place to the bridge, and I'm thinking that I'm not in the fire department. I don't know how much space they really need, but do they need all that space that's in front of Converse Place? It seems excessive, and maybe we can re-examine that at some point.
In front of Converse Place, across from the firehouse, you mean?
Not quite across from the bank.
Yeah, okay.
They've taken
gotcha.
that whole
Yeah, yeah.
length from the corner to the bridge. There's no parking.
Yeah,
Literally, the sign is right at the corner.
I'm kind of trusting that's what it takes to swing out two fire
I kind of wouldn't want to get in the way of a fire truck needing to do U-turns there.
I was thinking of the other side. I was thinking of the side, once you make the right, once you're coming down 10 Converse, you make the right by China Sky, there's also spaces there that make that narrow, and we're putting a bit more.
I'll just table the question, just put it out there for future consideration.
Yeah, I think a select board comment
Yeah.
on parking opportunities would be helpful.
So is somebody prepared to make a motion on traffic circulation and
I
access?
don't think we have enough information.
That's what I'm asking. If that's what I'm asking, if
I don't
somebody.
think so.
No, I think we have a good list
So
of
we need to know
questions.
what we need. So we, Jack, have you collected those questions?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So with that, do we need to vote for more information, or can we simply say that we have don't have enough information to move forward?
You don't need to vote on that.
Okay.
You can if you want, but you don't
Okay,
have to.
perfect. Thank you. So with that, we would move on to pedestrian safety and access. And I would do the same thing and open it up if people have, I'm just going to pulling up back, there was where we are again. If people have anything based on what they've read that they, or seen, that they have concerns about.
No, based on what Taylor just said to us, that it's unchanged from the original project. And I don't recall what the setback was on the original project on Converse, but as I said a few minutes ago, that sidewalk is going to be 10 feet wide, whereas right now it's 4 or 5 feet. It's pretty narrow right now. So I think that's a big improvement for pedestrian safety.
Yeah, the sidewalk enlargement, I'm pretty happy about. The only other consideration from a pedestrian standpoint, and again, this is more on the town than the project, is that we really need to think about the bike path, because hopefully this will increase traffic, whether it's bike traffic or foot traffic or stroller traffic, or hopefully not e-scooters, or they'll be all over the Facebook page. But the whether we need to widen the path, whether we need to put signs on the path, whether it needs to be a walking zone, like we really need to think about that, because if we're increasing the population there, it's kind of a blind corner crashing into all these China Sky patrons.
Where's the blind corner you're referring to? I'm just
I
kidding.
mean, that's not blind, but the building will be essentially where the building is now, but hopefully with more foot traffic. So do we need, it's already narrow. I'm sort of just like,
Yeah,
and we're
widen, yeah.
losing the parking surface that some people default to when the parking, when the bike path is
True.
I like the width of the,
occupied.
like
So
the width
as a
of the
town, we should
Minuteman.
think, is this the right time to widen that or, you know?
Yeah, like the width of the Minuteman Trail, because it's not that wide, really.
So that's sort of an agenda item. We have to think holistically about this site, not something that we can't overlook. It's come up through a couple of people, but also just when you walk through, a lot of people just cut through the parking lot because the bike path is quite narrow.
Any other thoughts on pedestrian safety and access? Anybody believe we need additional information on this? Are you thinking that's something that needs to follow up, or is that something follow up in general?
I think if we're going to get a comment from the select board on movement of parking spaces, we might want to hear about whether improvements to the bike path are in the, I think in
Yeah, I
general
would support
pedestrian,
that.
I feel better about pedestrian safety than I do about traffic movement, if that's helpful. But I would like to hear a comment on it.
I mean, there's pedestrian safety on the sidewalks, which are going to be larger. And then
Yeah, no,
there's-
that I think is great. I think the crosswalks are in a good spot. I think you can only get going so fast, and that's not a challenge, before you have to make a couple of turns. Pedestrian safety, I feel a little better about. Just the bike path.
So staff is recommending a few things regarding that. We are not recommending the widening of the path itself,
Okay.
but we are recommending the widening of the access points to the path. Widening those, and then doing from an infrastructure standpoint, doing a better job connecting the path to the street on Mount Vernon and on Converse Place, and a more appropriate design to connecting the bricks to the pavement.
Do we know how wide it is, and is there two-way access? Is there two-way bike design currently?
Well, the bike path isn't changing
Okay.
as it currently is, so it will remain as wide as it is today, but we are recommending a better, a wider approach onto the path to allow for more access and for more accessible access as well.
Does it have a line in the middle
No,
currently?
No.
no, it needs to be repaved. It's a mess. Right around there. The roots
I
are
see.
all, it's all,
Is it wide enough for a line? Do we know? I mean, I wonder if there's a standard, any kind of a bike.
Yeah, I mean,
or whether it's even within the purview of this.
I mean, the
I don't-
Tri-Community Bikeway
That's-
is a much larger
Okay.
thing, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, other sections of the bikeway do have the middle
Yeah.
line, not this section.
Okay.
So are people willing to need more information, make a vote with conditions? And if so, somebody willing to make such a motion?
I just never know what I don't think of for disability access issues, so except for pending like approval by the, if there are concerns raised by disability access, I would want to defer to their comments, but assuming that's fine, I think this one seems okay.
Let's add that as a condition. I think that's reasonable.
Say that again then?
Just review, just pending, approval by disability access or response to comments
Okay.
offered by DAC.
Sort of the conditions recommended by staff, and I like that condition as well. I mean, it's pending, assuming that there's not any follow-up from Disability Access Commission. So is there a motion to that extent?
I'll make it if it hasn't been made.
Yeah.
It has not been made?
Okay.
Just thinking if there's anything we need to pack into it, but I think we're good. Well, I'm thinking, yeah. We're good.
So can you just clarify what the motion is? I think we all know, but I just want to make sure it's clear.
I would ask Carrie to restate it, please.
I move to approve the pedestrian safety and access plan for 10 Converse Place pending approval by disability access.
And with the conditions.
And with
set
conditions as
as stated by.
stated by the town planner.
Sorry, I wasn't making your motion. It's your motion still.
It's I take full ownership over your words.
Okay.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Roll call. Let's start this way. Nick?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Carrie?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
I vote aye as well.
Brian, would you mind me giving an explanation of each one, and then we can go off of that?
That would be
Okay,
great.
so for, next is emergency vehicle access. The applicant has met with staff, including the fire and police departments on several occasions. The fire department has commented on the project, and the applicant has responded to the comments of the fire chief adequately. So from the staff perspective, what is being presented from the emergency vehicle access is sufficient. We do request having a final plan be submitted under the name Emergency Vehicle Access Plan that will once again be reviewed by staff before the issuance of a permit. Building permit.
Thank you. Any comments, questions on that? I don't, honestly, once we have the fire chief, the town engineer, and the town planner tell us, I'm not sure any of us should be overruled, but
I
that's just
actually
my,
think no.
Sounds
Hands off.
good to me.
Yeah.
would somebody like to make a motion with that condition above?
I move to approve the section of the site plan involving emergency vehicle access with conditions as outlined by the town planner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there additional discussion? Okay, we'll start at the other side. Carrie?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Stormwater management, I am going to have to ask our town engineer to help with this one, if the board has any questions for him. Ian, can you go to page 48, please, in the packet? The stormwater management has been completely revised since the original proposal. The town engineer issued a memo in October, I forget what the date is, October 20th, I believe, 2025. We'll get the exact date. October 20th, 2025. and a lot of those comments are about stormwater. We have heard from the applicant that they are capable of meeting most, if not all, of those. It would be our recommendation that similar to the emergency vehicle access, that a final stormwater management plan be submitted and then approved by staff. Stormwater admittedly is a little out of my expertise, so if you have any specific questions, please refer them to the town engineer.
Thank you. Questions regarding stormwater drainage?
I will switch to my rusty Concom hat for, I'm sure they raise these issues, but in case anyone has them also on their mind, it would be helpful just to almost anecdotally hear, we have all traveled and seen more grand waterways, but restoring ecosystems happens one little river at a time, and we're all very attached to the thriving herring run. So if there's anything that we can say about the use of salt for snow removal or the use of pesticides for lawn management that may end up in the riverfront when there is stormwater runoff, and whether that's caught by the systems or whether that's something that might impact our very sweet little Aberjona, I would love to hear that.
Sure, we can add something like that into an HOA. One thing that I meant to mention was the management is being peer reviewed currently, still being peer reviewed. But once the peer review is concluded, we'll have more information on the project, on the stormwater management project. Oh, and that's going on through Concom. So.
Are people thinking that we need to wait for that? Or
No,
that
that's
we need
mostly
to have
just
it
saying it out
pending
loud.
approval by the town engineer and town planner kind of thing?
I'm sure Concom brought it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
I just
our
want-
turf. I will amplify their work wherever I can.
I just meant, do we want to see it? Or do we want confirmation that staff is happy enough with it? And
That's fine with me.
He's smiling. We're happy.
he's smiling. So I would, if somebody's willing to, I'd welcome a motion regarding stormwater drainage.
I
Somebody
don't
over
want to
this side
hog
could
the
make a
mic.
motion.
Is there anyone else?
Yeah, really, please.
I move that the stormwater plan as presented with the conditions is sufficient for us to move forward.
I will second that.
Is that good enough motion, do you?
Conditioned on the fact that the town engineer and the town planner will review the final plan before the issuance of a special permit.
Would you like to make a friendly amendment as such?
Subject to the town planner and the town engineer satisfactorily reviewing the plan.
Somebody like to second that?
I re-second that
Thank you.
motion.
Before we vote, I would just like to ask the town engineer if there's anything else that he needs beyond that you believe. You're welcome to come up. I just want to know if there's anything else you need beyond that, because I don't want to hamstring you with...
No, I think that condition is sufficient. As Taylor said, it is going through a peer review as part of the Conservation Commission review. Comments were issued by VHB, who's the peer reviewer, in December, and we're waiting for them to be addressed. And I think as long as we have a condition in there and we have the conservation peer review going on at the same time, I think that's sufficient.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So we have a motion. We have a second. Roll call. We'll start on this side. Nick? Aye. John?
Aye.
Carrie?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. So the next one.
Flood control mitigation based upon the professional engineering report from the town engineer. This is the same as the stormwater.
Okay.
I move to accept the flood control mitigation plan section of the site plan review, conditioned on final review by the town planner and town engineer.
Second.
Additional discussion? That's good enough, that motion? for you? Okay. Roll call vote. I'll start over this way. Carrie?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Nick? John?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
John?
I did-
John made the motion.
No, this one was me.
Oh, that was you?
We're tossing it back and forth.
Thank you.
Okay, and then John
Motion
seconded?
volleyball.
I like what the select board does. The vice chair just makes all the motions.
Oh,
Like,
now
just
you
wa-
tell us.
Hey, sorry. So that brings us to screening.
Screening, including the use of natural land features, plantings, and erosion control. From a lot of this gets covered in the same plan and the same report as the previous two. However, screening, the idea of screening is something that I think the board should consider if there is sufficient screening beyond what is just recommended from a strictly environmental standpoint.
So we have either in this packet or elsewhere.
I would go to page 50, please. '51. And this is the plant schedule. There is more work to do, of course, with stormwater management, but this gives you a good idea of what is being proposed for plantings.
This all looks good to me. I don't know if this is pertinent to this topic, but I was wondering about the screening that's going to be involved in demarcating the privacy space on the first floor residences, and I'm unclear where that is and actually how it will be demarcated. Is how many feet from the building is the demarcation? I'm not sure that
We
was-
have not agreed to that
Haven't,
yet.
okay.
There's been a proposal made by them. I believe it's 20 feet from the building is what they've proposed. That's something we need to mutually agree as
That was
part of
my
special permit.
recollection. That was my
But,
recollection.
It's not been agreed upon, nor have we discussed, although this would be the right time, I think, what sort of demarcation would be acceptable there, be it a hedge, a fence. I'm not proposing those. I'm just saying I think that's what you're getting at.
We were out on the site, and I do appreciate the applicant staking out the property. It
Yeah,
was
that
very
was
it was
really
very
helpful.
helpful. We paced out, or I said Carrie paced out 20 feet from the stake, and that eats up a lot of that open space. And the thought occurred to me that we're downtown. I live in the RD20 zone where the side setbacks are 20 feet, which seems about right for that zone, but 20 feet seems very excessive in this zone, and I'd like to make a case for 10 feet if the applicant is willing to consider that instead.
So my question for you is an honest question. Do you think that's something that we're going to have to discuss when we ask if they've met the conditions we set upon approving the height?
Yeah, I guess my initial comment was, I don't know if this is the time to bring that up, but this does involve screening, and I assume they're going to have screening to demarcate that private zone.
So this is just my opinion. I
Yeah,
think the question
go ahead.
about what is going to demarcate the private zone is totally appropriate for right now.
Okay.
The actual size of that,
Okay,
I think,
fair
is
enough.
something that still we'll need to discuss when we're looking at the height.
Fair enough. I'll hold my
What,
tongue.
what does that mean, 10 feet versus 20 feet, from a visual standpoint? Like, how do I perceive that?
Did you go out and walk?
I haven't
the site?
seen it, no.
The space, so there's the building, and then there's open space all the way to the river. Some of it's town land and some of it's private land. So as part of this building development, the applicant has kindly offered to allow some of the open space on the private land to remain accessible to the town. And so the question is whether the distance from the building that is only accessible by the private residents will be 20 feet or 10 feet.
Oh, I see.
Or something else, some other number.
So 10 feet
Whatever.
would be probably advantageous to the...
Right, but that
It would give
discussion,
more
Brian's
public
point
space,
is,
in other words.
Brian's point is that discussion is separate from the discussion we're
Okay,
having
I
now, which is
understand.
how that, whatever space it
Yeah.
is will be screened.
That's fair. I'll hold that, and we'll save that for later.
But I think it's a great question of how
I-
it's screened.
I think we'll have to circle back to screening because I like some sort of like general comments, or I think like an 8-foot stockade would be sort of a tragedy.
Agreed.
I think some involvement of greenery would be nice and in the spirit of what we're trying to do there. I think a 3-foot fence would not be the end of the world. I think somewhere, I think screening would be appropriate, but I think we have more work to do figuring out the use and the access and the size of the open space before we kind of really condition it. So to me, this one should wait.
Yeah, we shouldn't, we should be able to weigh in what even if there is a fence, it shouldn't be chain link. We got to be able to weigh into that,
Barbed wire is
One thing I'm
probably
pretty
the wrong
comfortable with is there's not going to be a chain link fence there. But your point is a good one. There's not going to be a chain link fence there, but
they have given us a beautiful,
Razor wire.
design at the ground floor. I can't imagine they're going to go, rogue on us. But I think as far as figuring it out, I think this one's premature since we have outstanding items anyway.
So my question is really, it's not really a question, it's wanting to understand more sort of heights of the trees along the building, because I think we mentioned at least in one other meeting at some point that some taller trees would be nice, some canopy trees would be nice. You know me, I always like a canopy tree. This is an opportunity to plant some, have them last for a while.
But if we settle at a 3-foot open space setback, that's going to be a problem for the residents real soon.
I think that it's going to be somewhere, between perhaps less than 20, but more than 3.
When you say some taller trees, it would be nice to see some investment trees,
Yeah.
like a beech tree that will look great in the future, or something that is an investment in some grander vision.
I agree, and I use the word canopy mostly because I think of the canopy that we've seen that's been lost in town.
Right.
As it turns out, few, if any, I don't think any mature trees are scheduled to be removed from this site. So it's actually rare that we have a building where
Net gain.
it's going to be a net gain as far as canopy and trees. So I think that's definitely a positive. So people thinking, so what are the questions that we want to make sure, the more information that we want? So we would like to settle on, which will be part of, it's sort of chicken and the egg. All these things are always chicken and the egg. If we need to know, we need to negotiate and decide upon how much is public space and how much is private space in order to approve this, then that sort of puts site plan review is going to be happening simultaneously, at least on some of these aspects, with special permit review, which is I'm okay with if that's the way we do it. But we would like to know, we'd like to work on negotiating exactly what the distances are, and then looking at and negotiating. I don't know if people put forward what they would like as a demarcation.
I think we also need to learn a bit more about what is anticipated to be permissible within the condo docs, because if as written right now, there's a 20-foot space and they're coming in way under the open space requirements, technically they could build decks. So if it's a built environment, that to me is a different use, a different screening, a very different discussion than if it's narrow enough that it's planting and then the open space falls more on the town side. So then what's our investment in that, versus what's expected of the applicant in terms of, so I think use and demarcation of the open space is important. And then for screening, no matter where it all falls, I think we will maybe invite the street tree or the tree committee to review it and lean as much as we can on native plantings.
And that could be if
I feel
and
comfortable
when this
throwing
was,
that in at any time.
if and when this was approved, this condition standard was approved, it could be to work with the street tree committee, the street tree committee.
It will technically be off the street.
Yes, I was going to say it will be off the street.
Or Conservation Commission maybe, because it's within the waterfront, so it's their purview. But I think maybe we don't decide. I think maybe we defer to someone on that one.
Carrie, I'd just argue that your first point there is a special permit decision.
Right.
Yeah.
But then can we circle back to site
Absolutely,
plan?
yeah.
So that's- I think that
during the special permit, you can always come back to any section and say, after more review, this.
that's what I'm
thing,
saying. I think this one stays open until we've done other.
So you just want to table this, in other words?
So we want this pending, but I just want to be clear what the more information we're asking for.
Yeah, I'm just throwing it out at you, so that's,
I mean, you would want just a drawing, 10 feet, or the proposal, exactly what they're
yeah, I mean,
proposing.
ultimately, we want to
And
landscape.
then maybe some discussion about whether we would permit a patio. It probably,
Right,
it's a good
yeah,
point.
yeah.
It might not be a deck, more likely a patio, a little hardscape. Is that going to
Right.
be a component of this, prohibited, or a possibility, or?
Right.
And that goes back to Concom as far as what amount of space they can hardscape.
Right.
And that's partly to protect, I mean, if they're using, if it's a section of grass and then a barrier, that's different protection for the residents of the building versus if they're hosting a barbecue,
And I just come back
So
to
I think we circle back to it. I
that the
think this is-
hardscape might not be allowed. It may or may not.
It would-
From Concom, because there's only so much they can hardscape on this lot.
Right before they're back in the.
Before they're back where they were with the,
Yeah.
the summer.
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah, that's
I assure
right.
you, they don't want to go back there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good point.
So that's going to be pending,
So we're tabling it.
yeah.
Tabled.
Okay.
Seventh section, or 7 to 12, protection and preservation of existing historical structures, vistas, and natural features. Staff has no comment on this.
Okay.
I like to believe that the no comment is a fraught no comment. I think we've heard a lot from the residents of the town, and it seems to me that the answer is no. I know that in the town survey, 91% of respondents said that protecting the historic downtown was important to them. So I think of all these, this is the one that we kind of run into a lot, especially if we want to honor the desires, it would seem, of the majority of our residents.
I would take,
And I guess I would just add that the Historical Commission unanimously voted this down.
I would take exception to the statement that majority of the town feels that way. I think it's purely speculative, but if I may, indulge me for a minute, because I used to be the chair of the Historical Commission. The role of the Historical Commission in recommending to the Planning Board and this Board of Appeals is quite simple. Does a proposed project have an adverse impact on the historical resource? In considering that question, the historical resource is either the structure itself, in the case of renovating, for instance, an historical building, or the immediate environment, or both. In this case, the Historical Commission considered this proposal in the context of the historical downtown. On October 27th, as Nick says, the Historical Commission voted 4-0 to recommend unfavorable action, finding that the proposed building would have a negative impact on the historical resource. Individual members of the Historical Commission have spoken in these public hearings and reiterated that. I would like to point out, however, that 4 years ago, the Historical Commission in a 5-0 vote recommended favorable action on a 5-story version on a much larger footprint. The primary difference between that approved design and this one is 6 feet of additional height and 1/3 less footprint. The architect was the same, and the design is virtually identical. And if you will indulge me, I will read some comments that were presented to the Planning Board in the Historical Commission's letter of February 24th, 2022. I'm just quoting from the letter. These are comments from members of the Historical Commission. I'm incredibly impressed with the new design and believe the developers have addressed all of our concerns with the original design. Quote, I'm pleased with the addition of the curved elements to the design which break up its mass and the way the design and the material selection reflect the historical context of the town hall, the library, and other downtown buildings, unquote. Quote, I really like the design, which I approve and strongly believe it fits in beautifully with the historic buildings in our downtown, unquote. Quote, I believe this is a wonderful new design that takes the historic brick buildings downtown and blends in well, end quote. And lastly, I applaud the applicants and their architect for working so hard on this design, effectively capturing the historic feel of our town. Now, if anyone has forgotten, I've got the original design right here, and I can show you comparisons. side by side.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's that much difference other than the 6 feet of height and the smaller footprint.
Yeah.
So I think it's a highly subjective judgment to say that this does not fit the historical milieu.
Well, I mean, I guess I would just say that those are all glowing reviews. But, I mean, there are as many or more reviews that are the opposite. I mean, you read all the glowing ones.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there are opposite. I mean, I think this affects the vistas. It affects the surrounding, area.
My point is that it's a subjective judgment, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got two different historical commissions. The only difference between the one in 2022 and the one in 2025 was two different members. But they've reversed themselves for a taller building on a smaller footprint, which is essentially the same design. I was at that meeting, and I was kind of appalled that they would reverse themselves like that. I didn't say anything, but it was...
And what if they made the mistake the first time, though?
I was there. I mean, we were pretty enthusiastic for the building. I remember. Nobody was opposed to it.
I will once again switch hats. So when we were deliberating it on the Conservation Commission, while the Wetlands Protection Act in the state level was sort of one argument about the degraded land versus the non-degraded land, the main sticking point for the town bylaw was whether or not the building impacted view sheds of the river from downtown, which is a significant asset in town. Again, small river, but it's ours. And the result of the change in the footprint of the building does alleviate that, and has been Concom moved past that point, and that's because from the majority of the street you can now still access the natural landscape in a way that you were absolutely not able to with the previous version of the building. As far as the building itself, it seems like what we have hit is a wall for, no one's attached to the laundry building. We all would like to see that historic. I mean, it's an old building, but no one's desperate to protect it. And I think in terms of meeting the character of the downtown and preserving the historic larger picture, which is the downtown area, I know the architect has worked hard to work within our expectation that it have a certain look and a certain feel and a certain level of architectural detail. I think what we've met is the appetite of the town for changing the scale of the downtown. And it seems like the reason it was popular before and it's not popular now is because the appetite is 5 stories.
I mean, maybe we can really focus on that then.
I mean, I think we have to decide if we're asking this question in terms of the limited scope of sort of like we have to sort of like litigate historic structures. Is it protection and preservation of vistas and natural features? I think that's been remedied by the new design. I think Conservation Commission supports the fact that that piece has been remedied. Our view sheds are better than it was when the building was significantly larger. And then in terms of the existing historic structures, we would all like the building to come down. So that structure is down. And the question is whether we are considering this parcel again in the context of the downtown. And I think to Jack's point, we have found the appetite for change there. And I don't know if I have an answer for you, but that's how I'm framing it in my head.
Would your Nick, if I can ask you, would your opinion change in the historical context if it were 5 floors?
I think that would be a lot better than 6. I think it would make a difference.
Okay.
To a lot of people.
Okay.
I won't ask you to say if it would make a big difference to you. You said it would make a big difference to a lot of people. It might, but there's the 5 of us.
Well, I guess we'll cross that when we get
Yeah,
there.
fair.
Brian, if you don't mind, one thing I would like to mention to the board, that site plan review under section 7.315.15.5, general standards for site plan review. In the review of any site plan conducted under this section, the special permit granting authority, planning board, shall determine that reasonably adequate provisions be made by the applicant for the following, and then it goes through 1 through 12. So it's the planning board's responsibility to determine if reasonably adequate provisions have been made for any of these, but we're particularly talking about the protection and preservation of existing historical structures. vistas, and natural features. I don't intend to direct you in any one way or another. I just want to bring you back to site plan review and what you are.
Thank you.
Approving.
Thank you. I guess I would just say that if we look at the three distinct things, historic structures, I hope we agree that the laundry building may be historic, but as somebody said, we all want it gone. The vistas are to a large extent protected and preserved, and the natural features, as I mentioned, no significant trees are coming down, and arguably there will be the land along the water will actually be improved compared to what we have now, where most of the land along the water is the parking lot. Much of that land will now be open space and grassland.
And as we have been reminded by a few people, that pond and river are historic.
Indeed. Do people think we need more information on this standard, and or any conditions?
I just want to, can we include the survey forms, Taylor, that were done in conjunction with the National Register as part of the package? Or
Yeah, actually, your updated staff report, which will be prepared for you for next meeting, actually has them in there.
okay, great.
That's helpful.
Thanks.
I think since we have outstanding items anyway, let us leave this outstanding until we see that. Just
So out of curiosity, what discreetly is
need?
outstanding?
What do we need?
I think for the digestion of this parcel as part of our downtown, which is on the National Register of Historic Places, I think it's worth waiting, because we have to wait for other items anyway, to see the criteria that got us there and to make sure that we're not going to threaten that status by adjusting this building in the way that we're proposing. I think that, personally, if we're thinking of it as a site, I think my questions about this item are resolved. But I think the town deserves time to see if we think of this as a downtown, as instead of as an isolated structure, that we have thought that through.
If the committee wants, it's unclear exactly what the more information is.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
But I'm not, I mean.
Do you, off the top of your head, is there anything in the inventory that, like, if this building changes to the proposed, is this going to affect our standing on the National
I'm
Register?
I'm not going to answer that.
Okay,
but-
so he's pleading the fifth, so I think we wait until
Is
he...
that information that we can obtain? Is that obtainable
Not this
information?
year.
Taylor, is that
really.
obtainable information?
I mean, I could give you a Form B.
Yeah, but it's not going to tell you whether or not this fits. That's a
Yeah,
subject
I mean-
of judgment.
Okay, so we can go, I think we can take it within the site itself, and we can make that judgment, and we just know, this will be a flashpoint, so I
can-
want to do it as thoughtfully as we can.
We could ask the Massachusetts Historical Commission, but I'm not sure they'd give us a rendering.
Are they going to give us a hypothetical too?
I don't even know if we'd get an answer out of them.
No.
So I think maybe if the chair directs us to consider it either as a downtown or as a parcel.
I would welcome a motion of any sort, and if that motion goes in a direction, then that'll take us where we go.
Alice in
I'm not
Wonderland.
making motions, so I'm not going to.
But just direction on how to contemplate the
I
question.
think we should look at the
consider it
site plan
as-
review.
Okay, so we should look at it as a single parcel and decide based on the single
I
parcel.
believe site plan review should look at the site. but-
Okay.
Unless it's specifically, but if no one makes a motion, then we don't, then we don't.
I'm looking at 7315.5, number 10, and it seems like it's a similar, it's a similar discussion.
Which one?
Number 10.
On the back of it.
Yeah, you're right. That's
They're similar.
similar.
I anticipated more discussion on that one than 7, but
They are,
they're
they're,
connected, but,
yeah.
because I think that one specifically talks about
Right.
off-site, whereas this one does not, except for vistas.
Okay. All right, we'll just
But-
take that then.
But if no one makes a motion, then
I can make a motion and watch it be defeated, but I don't know what we're waiting for.
make a motion.
I move that we accept the proposal as presented.
You mean you approve standard 7?
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, so we are voting on this based on the historic structures currently located at 10 Converse Place, the vistas provided by the proposed structure and the natural features as accessed by the proposed parcel.
Correct.
Right.
I think that the discussion that's going to be more meaty is 10.
Okay?
But that, I mean, you can vote however, if you,
Yeah. I'm just making sure we're all voting the same way.
well, you can vote however you're.
On the same topic.
Yeah.
So with that, Carrie, I will start with you.
Okay, well, for the parcel, I am an aye.
Okay, Jack.
Aye.
Nick.
No.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. That brings us to signage and exterior lighting. And I see that you have no comment, but hopefully,
Yeah, I actually do have a comment now.
I was going to say,
So signage and exterior lighting, it's the opinion of staff that this is something that will change over time, specifically for signage, based off of or whoever the tenants is of the commercial space, what the official address is of the building, or if they name something else. So so signage hasn't been a requirement that we've made to be presented at this time because of that. We do have an extensive sign design guide, guidebook, and ultimate approval by the design review committee, which will happen regardless of what happens here. But I am recommending, this is in my staff report, that all signs should be designed to fit well with the buildings, to be legible and not overpowering, and to complement with the elements applied to the building, such as awnings, canopies, or artwork. All signs must be approved by the design review committee prior to the issuance of a sign permit. As for lighting, we do have a lighting plan. I would like to see an update to the lighting plan to have. I would just like to see a modernized lighting plan so that light does not spill over into natural areas, light does not go up into the sky, and we meet all of the modern lighting practices. We'd just like to see that on a plan, and that would happen before the issuance of a building permit.
any questions regarding signage or exterior lighting?
I'm not clear what we're to be voting on, since it sounds like a lot of
Yeah, it
it's to
sounds
be
like there's a
determined.
lot of-
Sounds to me like we're approving it conditioned on the town planner's recommendations.
Yeah, and the design review is going to accept it.
That's
and-
part of his recommendation.
Right, yeah. You know,
I make the motion that we approve this conditioned on the town planner's recommendations.
Second?
Discussion? Carrie, you look, I see a look in your face. I just don't want to go
I
before.
guess I feel undereducated. I mean, it's so close to the I'm thinking about the night windows. Essentially, I don't know what our option, like, what's the
Well,
range of our
so
options there.
you can have, I guess a summary of my recommendation, of staff's recommendation, is that you can have them present a plan to you at a later date if you want to be the ultimate authority on approving it. It's just, from our perspective, there's a lot more architectural details that need to be resolved before a fully sufficient lighting plan can be presented.
Okay. Yeah, I think we want to see that one more time. I mean, there aren't as many people living adjacent to this building, but there's not, I mean, I think it will be fairly tall. So, I mean, if the whole I think the lighting plan is important for us to see.
What's the, what is it, the window thing?
Well, I'm just thinking, 5 stories of residence, how do you shield, if you've got a night owl on the fifth
Oh, I see.
floor,
So it's just
like
gonna
what,
be-
they're
gonna
just
be
really like
glowing
LED lights. Like, there's not much you can do about that.
Right.
So this is specific for exterior lighting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I got stuck.
Okay.
It was like, I don't think that's like I don't think we can do anything about that, but that will have a significant impact on
We can certainly discuss it during special permit.
the area. Yeah. Right.
Tinted windows,
I mean, there's nothing, right? You can't,
curtains
you
closed after
must have
9.
blackout shades on a remote control controlled by Brian Bernalia before bed.
They all have to call me up, and I have to close all the shades for everyone. I'm
Exactly.
hopefully not going to have to happen.
Instead of wake up calls, Brian just programs in.
So I'm comfortable with
The motion?
with your motion was I'm comfortable. I mean, we have.
I like Taylor's conditions with
Yes.
the, with the light not going up into the sky.
Yeah, all of
and
that.
all
I agree with
modern.
him. Yep. Yep.
Agreed.
And deferring to the design review committee on signage, et cetera. That's their role anyway,
Yeah.
and they're good at it.
Just so no more discussion. Nick,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Carrie,
Hi.
Jack.
Aye.
I vote aye as well.
Avoidance or mitigation of visual impact of parking, storage, and other outside service areas. I will express some comments just as reminders for what is with the design. All the parking is below grade. The storage, the access to parking, access to mechanical and other facilities are garaged. And the only visual parking area is the accessible parking, which is at grade level. We can bring that up in a plan. '46, please. So for reference, we have the accessible parking spaces close to the top of Converse Place. The lobby is in the front. Mount Vernon.
So this is specific. This condition. This standard is specific to visual, and I don't want to go too far away from that. But the electrical room is right on ground level. I have a dumb question. Will that make noise? I don't know. I know sometimes things electrical. You see electrical boxes and there buzz or hum or something, and I just don't know. I don't have an answer for that. And I realize that may not fall under visual impacts. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But my personal opinion is that they've done a good job. They came to us a while ago with ground level parking, and we said absolutely not. And now the parking is all hidden away, with the exception of the accessible parking, which is appropriate where it is.
And the entrance to the parking is always open, or that's a door that comes and goes? Always open, right?
I believe it's a door.
So, okay.
So you will not see that.
And then,
I mean, you'll see the door, but you will not see down into a garage.
and the electrical gear is behind, so you're wondering if we'll hear it through this wall. There are egresses to get into it, but they'll be blocked. But when you walk by.
Probably not under the standard, but I'm still curious about that. You walk by some places
Yeah.
where you see
No,
electrical
I
boxes, and they make a loud buzz. This is going to be a big transformer or whatever.
So this is on the ground floor.
Ground floor, yeah.
How close is it to a unit?
Well, it's close to the front of China Sky is where it is. We're going back to the honking.
Backs up to the commercial space, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, my thought is that if it makes much noise, it's going to be a problem for a resident or a tenant
Up above them?
anywhere. You
Yeah,
know,
the
it's
commercial
gonna have
space
to be-
too. People don't want to have.
I would think so.
It's going to have to be
soundproofed.
Either
Brunch
not
with
make the
sound.
noise or isolated within the space.
It's a question we want to ask the applicant about?
It's not really applicable to this standard.
Okay.
It was, I opened it up because we were talking about service areas and storage and things like that.
we
But I
can
think it's an open topic. I'm
save
sure
the
that
question, yeah.
I'm sure they could address that easily because this is not, I mean, this is not a new question for them, I'm sure, so.
Nope.
The
But-
trash is behind a wall, right? There's an egress to access it, but the trash is hidden. That's a row of dumpsters inside, correct?
Yep.
That's good. And then service areas are kind of up for grabs anyway, because I have to figure out where everyone can stop. Yeah, I mean, well, with the roof, visual impact of service areas for us should probably include, should that include utility, I mean, the cell towers?
Ooh, that's another can of worms.
That's a good question.
And like roof mechanical is like what other?
That's going to be up to you. I don't know.
Dun, 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 dun.
Is this for 9?
This is benign.
I don't know if
Parking,
it
storage, and
includes
other
that, but
outside
it's
service
a-
areas as opposed, which
I
is,
think that implies ground level.
it's service areas as opposed to
But then
machinery.
there's nowhere in here that we address that case. If it's not, if that's not.
Then I guess it becomes part of the special permit.
Yeah, I mean,
terms
it's
of
going to be
height.
an issue.
I'm just
Terms of
We're
saying.
not, we're not going to ignore it.
Yeah.
Right.
Not going to ignore it, but I don't really see it as part of,
Okay.
as this one, but certainly not ignored.
Right.
Okay. So we feel like the ground floor is mostly what we're addressing, and it looks pretty good. I don't disagree with that. I'm just.
I
I
think that's
think-
what this is talking about.
Just like I actually think that the sound is not appropriate for this. I just brought it up there and I probably shouldn't have because I sent us on a.
Your tangents are welcome here. It's like a tangent safe space.
So, were there any conditions? I can't remember. Were there any conditions you recommended on this?
There are plenty of conditions regarding parking, but nothing specifically about the visual impact of them.
Okay. So I'd welcome a motion.
Just a straight up vote of approval, then, huh? Motion.
Wait, the
It's number 9.
there is nowhere here that address. Yeah, great.
Just I move that we approve it.
Approve
Period.
standard 9.
Yeah.
Is there
Period.
a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call. Carrie?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Nick? Aye. John?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. So we are free to move on to 10 and 11. The only question I have is, do we want to go in that order? I suspect 10 is going to take a while. I suspect 11 is going to take a while. I think 12 may take less long. We are free to go out of order if people want to move on to 12, but I'm happy to just go to 10 directly if we wanted to.
Maybe we should just
Let's do 12.
That was sort of where I was going.
I support you.
Thank you. So
Number 12, avoidance or mitigation of acoustical and lighting impact. I think this is where Brian's question is going to come in, and Carrie's question about the lighting from the interior.
And the noise from the parking announcements, which I think we touched on and we'll get more information about. But in general, how noisy is this building?
Yeah, and our comments are lumped in with the exterior lighting. And to your point about when could you discuss the service towers, I'd argue during special permit number 3, adequacy of utilities and other public services. I would call that there.
Right.
So, the preliminary lighting plan, is there an acoustic plan as well? Any sort of, so we would want to know more about, we would want to follow up on those, I would think. based on what
Definitely
we've-
those issues. We also want to make sure that we think carefully about, we're encouraging a food venue. So if the food venue ends up being an evening venue and there's live music and the residents deserve protect, how do we want to think about the acoustic impact of a mixed-use building?
This is not a question. Do you think that's site plan review? I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm just phrasing it.
Because we
It's
don't
something that we
actually
should
know
think
what
about.
the use is of
Right.
either.
But
of
we're,
those.
you know,
I mean, know what I'd like it to be, but I don't know what
Right.
it is.
That would really be part of their, getting their approval and licenses, how we,
right. But we're narrowing this. It's not like they can choose a quiet venue. We've sort of painted them into a noisy corner.
yeah, but when they do find that person, they're not going to be able to just do whatever they want to do. We're going to have
Yeah.
all the residents
Unless it's
above.
a brunch and taco place, in which case.
Disco?
They were smart. They would just make it a taco place right. They'd like commit to a taco place right now. Carrie would be happy with
Okay,
it.
I think this is the brunch spot. I think the tacos go on North Main. Closer to the high school, that's your market.
So, may I ask the town engineer if he has any additional, needs any follow-up on this prior to approval, other than, because we've got the preliminary lighting plan and conditioned on final approval. It says town planner and building commissioner. Does the town engineer feel a need to be involved in that at all? If you're welcome, if you're willing to respond to that. I just don't want to exclude you if you need to be involved in this.
You're speaking specifically to number 12.
12 specifically.
So the only comment we had, which we can work with the planner and building commissioner, is I believe one of the street lights, existing street lights, is in where the driveway is now. So we'll want to make sure that that gets replaced or relocated and replaced and provides adequate lighting. Otherwise, I'm comfortable.
Okay. Thank you very much. So is anybody willing to make a motion on standard 12?
I make a motion to approve this on the condition of pending final review and approval of a lighting plan by the town planner and building commissioner prior to issuance of a building permit.
No, that would include that.
Yes.
The light.
Yep.
Second?
Additional comments? Can always tell when you're about to say something.
Well, sometimes I'm just stuck in a loop. Is there anything we need? I think we covered the signaling from the parking question. I think we've covered, I just don't think there's much we can do about resident lights. Require shutters?
But people can open their shutters. I mean,
I know. People are going
we
to
don't.
people.
I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that
No,
we
I'm
can't
with
worry
you.
about this.
I'm
I'm
with
just
you.
saying that
Yep.
it will be an issue to
Okay.
some if everybody turns on all their lights at the same time.
Okay. I will let go on engineering.
So we had a motion and a second.
At a period of rumination, and we're ready for a vote.
Nick?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Carrie?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. So that brings us to 10, which I figure will be the longest discussion. I would point out that if we have not wrapped up a discussion on 10 by 8:45, I'm going to call it a stop then. We can resume at our next meeting so that we can welcome both the applicant to respond to your request last time,
Yeah.
and also so we can leave time for public comment at the end of the meeting.
I think that on this one, I think my comments that I directed at 7 probably were intended for 10. At least that's how I read it.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, well, maybe that's why my comments were shot down in such a vociferous manner when we did 7.
They were heard, received, and I think that it would be expedient to address the memo from the applicant before we dive into this, which I realize is not only going to open a can of worms, it's going to be one of those power-packed worms that jumps out of you when you open it, but I still think we have to either decide to get into it or not.
People in general agreement with that? In the memo, there was some a direct response to something that you had requested that they are, I think, going to be prepared to talk to tonight that may impact that 10.
So do we want to review that up here amongst ourselves?
Yeah, we may want to table that until our next meeting after we've heard.
So why don't we, for 10, have it be pending more information, which we We might get more information tonight, but that doesn't mean we'll be ready to synthesize. Which brings us to 11.
Ryan, if you don't mind, for both 10 and 11, I just want to ask the board, are you making that decision because you don't, what is the information that you don't have? Just so that we let the applicant know, what is the information that you don't have that means that you cannot at this time make a determination that the consistency with character and scale of the surrounding buildings, CBD areas and neighborhoods hasn't been adequately addressed?
I mean, they offered an answer in their memo to us. I'm sorry to jump the gun. Is it okay
What
if I
page
answer?
is that, Carrie? Do we have it?
Page 15, I think, is the, am I right? How many of us have looked at it 12 times today?
Yep, you're right. Bottom of page 15.
On page 15, we get a response from the applicants that suggests that there is a break point where 5 floors would be a tenable project at this site. I have outstanding questions around what that looks like for the building and the project, but we have to think about this parcel 2 different ways. We have to think about it in terms of, is this the size and scale of the neighborhood? And we also have to think of it as answering the challenge put to us by the PUD. And so does it fit the scale of the neighborhood? No, obviously the neighborhood is 1 story tall. Like, it's much larger than that. But this parcel was set aside to answer a need for housing and to gently encourage us to move towards leveraging the density that was allowed in the CBD. And so it's asked to do that in a tasteful way, it's asked to do that in a progressive way, and it's asked to do that in a scaled way. And so I think we have had at this point arguably 5 or 6 years to hear from the town on what the appetite is for the maximum ceiling of that and for the maximum footprint of that and how it interacts with the natural landscape in the neighborhood. And we have an answer that's, 4 stories of a beautiful building that would have sailed 3 months ago, and then 2 stories that are probably one past the appetite for the town. So for me, if we're just considering it as a CBD application, no, it's way out of scale. But considering it as a PUD site within the CBD, it's possible that if there's a negotiation where we can get it to a 5-story building, we've answered housing questions, we've answered aesthetic questions, we've answered scale questions. 6 stories, I think, is too far. I think the town doesn't like that answer. I think it doesn't fit the aesthetic of the town in the same way. I think we have materials questions to answer if we're at 5 stories, but I think 6 stories is our death knell.
So I don't know if that addressed, at least from her perspective, what your question was.
Yeah, and my question was just solely based off of the process. I want to make sure that we're doing everything. I just want to hear from you that the reason you're passing on this is because you believe, because I believe you're the one asking to pass on this.
I would support Carrie in that.
Someone,
represent a certain
anyone who wants to pass this is because the 6th floor, as it currently is, and as presented, does not create. Hold on, let me read it. Is not a reasonable representation of what the project should be.
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
that we have the opportunity to consider a shorter building, then that question changes in terms of consistency with character.
Okay.
So-
Is that
Yeah.
fair?
Yeah.
Part of the complication only is that, well, not only, there's many complications with this
Oh,
project.
it will be a high force worm we will let out of the can.
We have approved the height, a waiver for the height.
Well, I didn't.
We as a board have approved a waiver for
Yes,
the height.
I know.
We still can discuss the. whether-
Absolutely.
We're going to discuss it.
Absolutely. I promise you we can continue discussing. I just want to be clear that the consistency and the character and the scale with surrounding buildings is something that we can and should talk about. Strictly speaking, just the height alone, we have already, as a board, and you're a member of the board, even though you didn't want this, have voted that was that waiver. So I agree that we need to discuss this. I think you're probably right. We probably need to have them come over, probably need to pen that discussion. If this were a 5-story building, it would still be larger than all the surrounding story.
I covered that.
It wouldn't cease to be much bigger than all the surrounding buildings.
Right.
So
CPUD comments.
So I'm just thinking like down the road, if your decision would be, this is hypothetical, that it's out of scale with the surrounding buildings. At 5 stories, your decision might still
So
be it's
again,
out
it
of
has
scale
to
with the
answer
decision.
2 criteria.
Yeah.
And for me, the housing provided by a 3-unit 6th story takes it out of contention. For me, the units provided by a 5th story setback potentially meet PUD criteria, although I think it's out of scale for the CBD.
Yeah. Okay. Does anybody want to vote this, or are we okay pending having them come up? I mean, it's 5 members. I want to make sure I'm not cutting anybody off.
I think both 10 and 11 need to be put aside until pending further information and discussion with the applicant.
Okay. Sounds like there's at least a majority of the board that feels that way, so.
So I think we're done.
So I want to be clear what we've done. 1, which is traffic and circulation, is pending. Screening, including use of natural land features, planting and erosion control is pending. And then 10 and 11, consistency, character, scale, and review of the design review guidelines in 11 are both pending. And all the other ones are approved.
Yes.
Did I get that right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, with that, my feeling is that we're going to return to this probably as the first order of our next meeting, order of business. Although we're a little early ahead of schedule, I think the
That's
next.
okay.
That's okay.
We will fall behind eventually. I would like to, if they are ready, I would like to welcome up the applicants.
Might get out here early.
Yeah. You didn't expect to be 10 minutes early, did you? That's shocking. So, state your names and addresses for the recording. Even names. We don't need your names and businesses.
Good evening. Paul Onyebane, Urban Spaces.
And David Notter, Urban Spaces.
So you are back here in response to a direct question from a member of the board, and I believe you can respond to her question.
Perfect. Well, thank you again for all the deliberation you've done tonight and the progress we've made. The issue at hand really is to try to address your question last time, Carrie, which was, is there a scenario where we can have a 6-story building drop down to, say, a 5-story building, and what would be the sort of implications of that? In our world, that's purely a financial seesaw. So we did the analysis to determine that if we eliminated the 6th floor, we'd be eliminating 6,900 square feet of building. 3 units, penthouse units larger in scale and so on. So eliminating 6,900 square feet, whereas a typical floor plate, to put it in perspective, like the 4th floor, for example, is more like 14,000 square feet. So it is reflective of the fact that it's a little sculpted. That does, on one hand, it's the floor with the most cachet, but on the other hand, it's also the smallest floor. So it does create an opportunity for us to evaluate as you requested. We are, completely neutral in terms of what you'd like to do. If you'd like to go with this, proposal, we just are making it just purely in response to your request. We have no favor or disfavor of it. So we did the analysis, and obviously you take into mind, in our business, you take into mind the loss of revenue associated with that 6,900 square feet. Of course, it's offset by the fact that you don't have to build the 6,900 square feet. So there's a net economic loss. How do we make up the net economic loss? Well, we looked at different ways we can do it. We could convert retail into residential. That wasn't a starter, we figured, because the retail was so important to have the streetscape on Mount Vernon and the waterfront retail activated. And so the only other place we had to go was a very difficult choice that would be presented, but presented nonetheless, which is to offset the net loss, we would need to find a way to convert some of the affordable housing, particularly the workforce housing and some of the more 80% AMI housing, into market rate housing. And so we ran the numbers, and to create, we don't have to be exactly in balance, we're just trying to make it work, and we'll obviously do our part to subsidize the effort. But we would need to go down to eliminating the 2 workforce units and 2 of the affordable units. So whereas right now we had 6, 4 and 2, we would go down to 2, 2 and 0. And then we could actually then take off the 6th floor. So it's a terrible trade, I understand, and we're just trying to give you an option because you asked for it. Some people will not like the idea of losing some of the affordability. Some people will love the idea because it goes down to 5 stories. So that's where we are, and we could answer any questions you might have about the theoretical proposal.
I mean, we are talking about a small number to begin with. So it's almost like saying if you buy 2 lottery tickets versus 10 lottery tickets, the chances of winning is still pretty much 0. So whether we go from 6 to 4 to whatever to 2, it's still basically the same. I mean, we have plenty of opportunities to build. I mean, this is just the first building. And the 5th story is such a incredibly, passionate, consideration. So.
Just a simple question. I think this is a typo, Paul. You say we would also be amenable to this request providing for 3 units restricted, and then in your memo.
I'm sorry, we didn't notice that. Let's see this.
Page 15.
Page 15. It's your page. I don't know what. It's your first page, actually, of your memo.
Okay, yes, I'm sorry. We have a revised 2 slides that we presented for this option, and that is a typo. We'll have that corrected.
Do you have the slides that you can present?
We do. We have the slides. Is it possible to
Do you want to put them up?
put them up? Sure. We put 2 slides together to address this very issue, and basically this is it here. If we want to slip right to we could slip to that page. Thank you. So here we show, what a 6-story, 69-foot tall building is like. And then, of course, the design, again, we could tweak that through the process. But just all things equal, taking off the 6th floor, going down to 59 feet, you could see some of the visual impact there. Most importantly, though, for this discussion would be the next slide, which would be the economics. This is what should have been in there, and apologize again. Okay. We've got option A, 6-story height. We've got the 6 units that were designated. And to Nick's point, only 4 of those were going to count toward the town's SHI because the workforce don't count. We then, sort of made this proposal after the analysis to go with that could be option A. Option B could be instead go down to 2. You're losing 2 from the SHI, and it could be, your choice. We said 206 or 402. They're both 2-bedroom units. And then 508, which is a 1-bedroom. And then we also just tried to kind of sweeten the pot a little. I heard maybe cash payments in lieu aren't the best solution, but we did try to at least give some money to the cause. So that was a kind of $100,000 subsidy payment there. So that would be the reallocation of the affordable units.
So that's both. It's both the 2 units and the 100,000.
Yes.
Got it.
But to be clear, let's just clarify what's even allowed before we start wheeling and dealing at the table. We are not, per EOHLC's regulations, allowed to go below 3, are we? Our town bylaw requires an EOHLC must approve which units, and per our bylaw, we have to.
Is that something we can waive?
I don't know.
That's what our legal counsel has indicated, but your legal counsel is here, then,
We also have, within the bylaw, allows a payment in lieu.
Okay, I didn't know if that was only for the 120% AMI units or if that was also for the 80%.
No, it's for the 80%. 80%.
Okay.
Whether or not
So this is
whether
a-
or not we want that is a different
No,
question.
I agree.
I'm saying
So I'm making sure it's feasible before we
we-
argue about whether it's desirable.
we could ask town council, but I don't want to put you on the spot whether, if you know, and you could look into it, whether we are even allowed to accept that as a proposal in this district.
I'd have to look at your bylaw for that. You are correct, it has to be approved by EOHLC, but you do have some discretion, but I'd have to see what your bylaw says with respect to the AMI units.
Perfect. Thank you.
And that will be 7319.
I'm not putting you on the spot now.
Yeah,
I
I'm
just
just
feel
gonna-
like you'll have to get back to us, I'm sure.
Does your legal counsel have an opinion on that?
yes, our legal counsel has indicated that the planning board has the authority to waive all requirements,
Okay.
including this one. And the state review board is approving once units are selected and presented, not necessarily approving compliance with a bylaw that's been waived. So if you decided, and town council of course agrees, our position would be that if you accepted the 2 units and the cash payment, you are allowed to do that by waiving the bylaws. And then, of course, those 2 units that were selected need to be qualified and approved by the state.
Right.
So they could come back and say, no, not those 2, it needs to be a different 2, or something along the lines
They
of
can do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And any condition, any approval, if we went down this road, would be conditional on those units being approved by the OHLC.
As would the option A.
Yeah, as would option A.
Yes.
Yes, but that was clearer in my head, so.
For expediency and maybe a little bit of my occasionally conflict averse nature, I would say that that is enough outstanding information in terms of guidance from council and options that we would want to discuss as a board. We had mentioned offline that we may hold additional meetings to make sure that we work through this in a timely manner. So I would support the chair suggesting that we take the information we have in front of us now, take public comment, and convene on one of the dates or both of the dates that you suggested to discuss as a board what we need to decide within that.
Whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah,
I think
it's-
I never
Phase wise.
anticipated that we would actually have much debate on this tonight.
okay.
I knew
great.
they were coming.
I'm just supporting you.
I knew they were coming. I knew they were going to have something like this. I wasn't prepared. Something that gets presented to us right now, I'm not sure we're prepared to respond unless someone said, "Oh my God, I will never do that." Or, I mean, if somebody's like, I'm just curious, that I don't need that response now. I just,
Yeah, I mean,
I also wanted them to present prior to public comment so that public comment could see this. Obviously, they won't have time to digest this either.
And I will throw out one quick comment, which is that the pickle that we're in, or the choice that we're going to have to make, or the dilemma of this building is the fact that we don't have enough of a comprehensive affordable housing plan for the town. Like, we have not taken the housing production plan and turned it into enough action points, I think, to promise where the payment in lieu is going and that we have an action plan. So that's on us, and we need to work on that. So recognizing that to some extent, this is leading us down a path that we have not paved yet.
But we do have Affordable Housing Trust.
I know, we have the Affordable Housing Trust, a huge step forward. I think this is the most feasible moment we've ever seen in terms of payment in lieu. I think in the past that was like a great idea that was pretty hard to action. But it's really on us to make sure if this becomes something that is popular and feasible, that it is short-term actionable, not hypothetical.
Yeah, I would again remind us that we are in an unusual situation from the get-go with the massive purchase price that's over your head, that it sort of confines,
Yeah.
it really limits opportunity, possibilities here. From the get-go, it's been that way. So I'd prefer it to be 3 stories, frankly, but that ain't going to happen. Not in my lifetime. Not unless there's a fire,
Yeah.
like the rest of the town's seen on there.
Yeah, I mean,
So I guess our questions are, go ahead, sorry.
Mr. Chair, if you still want a quick answer, I can address the payment in lieu is an option under the Winchester zoning bylaw. Section 7.3.19.4 says that the special permit granting authority, after comments have been received from a review of the Winchester Housing Partnership Board, may allow the applicant to pay a fee in lieu of providing on-site affordable units if the special permit granting authority determines that it is in the best interest of the town to do so, and the provision of affordable units would render the project economically infeasible. That's the first sentence of that section. There's another provision in the bylaw, and this is section 7.3.19.2, which is with respect to the CBD, all projects in that district that include a housing component shall have affordable units on the project as follows. The first one doesn't apply because this is a larger project, but then the second part, 10% of dwelling units within a project that have 25 or more dwelling units, which this does, right, shall be affordable according to 760 CMR 56. Those are the state EOH, whatever they call themselves now, livable communities. So, and math is not my forte, but if you do the math, 10% of dwelling units with the project with 25 or more, and 5% of the dwelling units within a project that have 25 or more dwelling units shall be affordable to middle-income applicants, 80 to 120% of the Boston area median income.
Can we clarify that you would be lopping off the sixth floor? You would go from 38 to 35 units? There would be no other adjustment to the configuration of the other floors?
That's correct.
Same number of parking spaces?
Yes.
Okay.
The architects would be able to fiddle with the roof so that the subtraction of the sixth floor, which was not contemplated in the original design, would be accounted for. So maybe there'd be some curvature on the fifth floor that would, make it. I mean, you're kind of taking a design and lopping it.
We can continue to work together on materials and style.
Right. Materials as well. Yeah.
So I take your point. I just want to make sure that we have any questions that we know of now. I mean, I think the first question, preliminarily, it sounds like something along the lines of that we could approve, like it's approvable. Whether or not we choose to is a different question. But then there are other questions. I think is a reasonable question of, is it just lopping a floor off? So the height would be, I think that if you go back to the other slide, that the new height would be 59 feet, but otherwise the footprint and I don't want to say everything else, but virtually everything else about the building would be identical to the six-story version.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
And you're not changing the parking, so we would go from being 2 in deficit to 1x.
Almost one per unit.
Basically 1 per
That's
unit.
right. There, and there's always the option to consider in the future needing more parking, but it wouldn't be part of this discussion.
Okay.
I didn't understand what you just said there.
There was some discussion that said in the traffic study that said that you could add another level of underground parking without impacting. We're not planning to do that at this time, but I did just want to mention that that's something we could explore.
Go down deeper?
We'd have to go down deeper.
That sounds
It'd be
expensive,
challenging.
but that's not my.
It's something maybe we could talk about if it comes up later.
Yeah.
In 6 months from now or something.
They have a swimming pool down there.
Yeah, it'd be complicated. It's probably best to avoid it.
That would be a well-used.
So the reduction in
Based on my
height,
experience, it's
if
meant for high
that's the architectural top, would go down from 69 to 59 feet under what you've got graphed out here.
Yes, we're calling it the zoning top.
Okay.
Per the zoning rules, the certain elements that go above that don't count in that number.
Okay.
And you haven't had a chance to calculate FAR, have you?
Have not, but I can do in my head. I could take off 7,000 of about 50,000 square feet, and it's probably going to be reduced by 15% from roughly a 3, is a 2.8, down 50% takes you, down to about a 2.6. I bet.
Yeah.
You're a math guy.
Yeah. I'm not a good lawyer, though.
So the questions, I just want to make sure we have all the questions. I would love to just double check that we're legally allowed to do this. It sounds like we are. So then the second question is, there will be discussion, I think, around this table of first of all, whether we want to do it, and second of all, is that number the right amount, the payment in lieu?
And, I mean, we need to have a long discussion about this.
I understand.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that I don't want, if we have a meeting next week,
Yeah, we
I
don't
don't want
wanna
them to
make
come
them
back and have us just start right where we are right now. So,
I think we have enough from them until we have direct questions for them.
okay.
Let me-
Do others agree with that?
Yeah, just one other question. Kate, you were saying that the first bit about the payment in lieu is contingent or just seeking some input from the Housing Partnership Board. That they don't have a right to veto this, do they?
No, but they have the Winchester Housing
Advisory.
Partnership Board first will comment. So the way it's worded, it says that this board, after comments have been received from a review from the Winchester Housing Partnership Board, meaning this board may allow the applicants to pay a fee in lieu.
So if the,
Yeah,
if
this would
the,
be a decision we'd have
if
to
the
make
Housing
with them.
Partnership Board said they didn't like it, we could say, well, we do, so.
Yeah, they're just making a recommendation.
Yes, I
It's
understand. So
directory.
they're
not-
meeting next Wednesday, the 21st. That's why I'm raising the issue
Okay.
for their monthly meeting. I'm a member. I have to be there.
So it would be helpful, and we may hear from the chair of the Housing Partnership Board during public comment, it would be helpful for at that meeting to have this general idea raised.
Yes.
And talk about payment in lieu and how much that would, there's obviously certain numbers. They might be able to go to certain numbers, they might not be able to go to certain numbers, but we want to understand what their recommendation would be if we went down this road.
Understandable.
So that'd be very helpful. So any additional questions about this? So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
you both.
Yeah, I'll send you back over that way. We have 5 more minutes before public comment, which doesn't mean I'm trying to slow that down, but I just want to know, is there anything we want to talk about right now before I welcome the public up here?
When do we want to schedule our next?
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually, because we do need to. And I had proposed 2 dates to us,
They're both
but that was without checking if the applicant was available at either of those dates. Those would be either the 22nd, which is actually a Thursday, or the 27th, which is 2 weeks, which is a Tuesday, 2 weeks from today. And
You're talking
person
about
or
the-
via Zoom, depending on if people are out of town.
I mean, is it,
wait, you're talking
is it
about-
if
you're
we,
talking about the
if we meet on the 22nd and then we have a
Of
regular, like, I almost
That's a
think this
Thursday.
is one of those minutes where we should just
I
have
don't
a
do
board
Thursdays.
discussion for an hour and just hammer out what we're even going
Yeah.
to bring to
I'm
them.
just sort of kidding, but
Publicly posted
okay.
meeting.
Yeah.
I don't know
It
if,
was an email. but-
we can, we could do
Right.
a 1 hour on the
So
22nd for
the
just us
the
and then invite
27th
them
was
back to
also
the 27th.
considered, which is a Tuesday.
Hold on,
Okay,
sorry.
I could do the
Two
27th,
conversations
right.
at once, and I couldn't take,
We're making dinner reservations.
right, yes.
So the questions are, so I'm out of town next Tuesday, and I feel like
Yeah, that's fine.
all 4 or 5 of us have to be here
I agree.
for all
No,
these
I
meetings.
agree, that's why I'm saying maybe the offbeat one is just us.
So the 22nd or the 27th are the days I was putting forward.
Right.
If one of us isn't available for any of those dates, then we have to go somewhere else. And then if we want the applicant here, then they have to be available too.
I could do the 27th. I would have difficulty with the 22nd, but since that might be just a one-on-one, that might not.
I want you at every meeting.
Right.
So,
If it's a public meeting, then it's a public meeting. We can't.
yeah, no, but we don't
If
have
it's
to.
a
We don't have to
Zoom public
accept. We
meeting,
don't have to
are you
welcome
able
them to
to-
the
I
table
see
or
what
the
you
public to the table. We can
I
just
got
talk among
If it's a
ourselves.
Zoom public meeting, Nick, can you attend or no?
Maybe. Yeah, possibly.
That would make sense.
Mr. Chair, to the extent that you need me here, I cannot do the 22nd, but I can do the 27th.
Okay.
The 27th, the winner?
27th sounds like a little bit
The one-
preferable
And
then.
the applicants.
So let me ask the applicant if they would potentially be available, and if we had a meeting on the 27th.
On the 22nd?
7th.
I might be able to do the
7th.
I might be able to do the 22nd.
27th.
Kind of tight, but.
Sounded like
We can do the 27th.
2/7.
Okay.
2/7.
Tuesday.
Not 6/7, 2/7.
27th's good, right?
27th is great.
Yeah.
So
In person then, here.
Yeah, in
Yes.
person, right.
in person sounds like it makes sense. And so the question that we have is, I think it's a fair question. Do we want to have a conversation among ourselves about this?
I'm a talker, so
Yeah.
I'd like to have,
That's what I was going to ask, if we might need some time to
Hearing.
have discussion amongst ourselves, so
Yeah.
we're prepared and we don't waste the applicant's time.
Yeah, I don't want to waste their time, any more than we already have. I don't want to waste any more time.
And these are not small decisions, and we should have some time to,
Yeah.
Right.
That's why this happening right now means that we can now mull it over prior to the next meeting.
wait, so the 22nd,
No, the
if,
20 seconds out.
oh, I thought the 22nd was possible for just us.
No, Nick
I
is,
could possibly do it,
Public
actually.
meeting, but-
By the time 7 PM rolls around, things start to lighten up, so I might be able to do it.
are you proposing that we do the 22nd and the 27th is what I'm trying to understand?
When do we potentially transition? I just want to put you through as many as possible.
I know you do, the perma public hearing. You want,
That actually just occurred to me, but.
I need to add them up. I think Diab still probably is going to win.
Oh my gosh, we met so often,
So
least weekly.
why don't we say the 27th? 27th,
Okay.
because even if
Okay.
we talk for an hour among ourselves, I think it's only fair to have it be a day that the applicant could be here, because I don't think it's fair for us to talk about a project that they're doing on a date that they
Plus,
cannot
we
make
will
it.
have questions undoubtedly.
I don't know if it's fair to make them watch us.
That's their choice.
I get it's fine. It's fine. Everybody on the 27th. Meet us back here.
So with that, at the end of this public hearing, we'll move to continue it to the 27th of January.
Right.
So with that, I'd like to open this meeting for public comment. We just would ask that you come up and put your name and address on that form so we can have it for the record. And I'm not going to limit anybody's comments in time. However, we're going to have a hard stop at 9:30, so just keep that in mind. And we will have public comment again. This is not going to be your last chance to have public comment on this issue. So with that, come on up.
John Serbier, I'm chair of the Winchester Housing Partnership Board. We submitted a 4 to 4.5 page memo commenting on the entire project. I'm not going to try to summarize that, except for one point. The Housing Partnership Board at our December meeting discussed the possibility of reducing the number of affordable units. We voted unanimously and strongly to oppose that. We will talk about it again, but this would negate, reducing the number of affordable units would negate 20 years of work by the Planning Board, the Select Board, and the Housing Partnership Board, and Town Meeting. And it would send a signal to a developer, any developer, that even though this is in the zoning code, it's an option. If you don't want to do it, then don't do it. That is a terrible, terrible signal to send to the development community. Now, let me comment. I've never met town council, so let me comment on the legal aspects of it. There are procedures defined in the zoning code and particularly spelled out in detail in the supporting rules that would allow consideration and reduction of the number of units. The first choice is to provide off-site units. There is a choice for providing an in lieu payment. The in lieu payment has to be equivalent in amount to the cost of obtaining equivalent number of units off-site. So I had trouble reading the slides. I think it said $100,000. That doesn't even begin to be satisfactory. So part of what's laid out in the rules is that if the developer wants to have a waiver, they need to submit the financial pro forma, which we have not seen yet. That financial pro forma would be made public. It would be subject to a peer review. And discussion would be made within that financial pro forma. So, I mean, you're right. There are provisions to reduce the number of affordable units. But urban spaces have not followed those procedures. This is the first time seeing this procedure. What we talked about in December was the general question that Kerry Layton proposed, and I'll just repeat it. It was unanimously and extraordinarily strongly opposed. Part of the reason in the past, we negotiated on a development-by-development procedure basis. One of the reasons we wanted to treat all developers consistently was to put in an inclusionary zoning provision so that the rules were clearly defined and everyone was being treated equally. We didn't want a procedure where we treated developer A differently than developer B. This is what you're doing by waiving that requirement. So we'll talk about it again next week. The first thing I would be surprised if the opinion has changed. One of the things we're going to say is follow the procedures defined in the zoning code and in the associated supporting rules, and then we would consider it. But that means obtaining the financial pro forma and looking at it and having someone trained to review it and we've done that. I can recall one instance on a development where the developer said, no way we're going to provide an affordable unit. They submitted they submitted rough financial numbers. Consultant looked at it and said, okay, this is what you can do to provide an affordable unit. So this needs much more input if it's going to be considered. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to clarify one thing. You said when you do this, this is just this is just the first time we've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be clear that this is not something that you said when you said something like when you do this.
I apologize for not looking at the full meeting packet, but
No. I just want to be clear that this is just something that's been proposed. It's not something that we have vetted.
Oh, no. I recognize
okay,
that.
Good.
I recognize that.
Okay.
And if these are online, I will direct the members of the Housing Partnership Board to look at this information prior to next week's meeting.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your help. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Joe Randolph, 325 Highland Avenue. I spoke at the last meeting briefly about cell phone antennas on the roof, and I've done some more work. I have what I think is a very succinct summary for you of what I see as the decisions you're going to have to make, and I'd like to just run through it. You'll notice that there are no antennas on any of these representations, and there never have been. The question is, what are you going to do about that? I submitted a comment a couple days ago. I got to confirm. Do you have that? Because there was a photo in there that would help me a lot to explain.
Are you able to describe it?
It's a photo of.
Could take a little time. It could take a little time to get it, but we can try.
I can start talking.
Yes.
But it's a photo of what I believe to be a representative set of 5G cellular antennas mounted on a roof, and it might be helpful to have a visual of that. I think my first observation is just I think the main reason that people in town think the Mill Pond building is ugly is because it's got a crown of cell phone antennas. If you took those off, in fact, when I moved here, they weren't there. It was kind of an odd-looking building, but I didn't consider it ugly. Now it's kind of ugly. I counted yesterday. There are 30 poles with antennas arrayed around the perimeter of the Mill Pond building roof. And in a moment, I'll explain why there are so many. But it's something, well, it seems to be generally accepted that there are going to be cell phone antennas on, there's going to be cell phone equipment on this roof. So I think this committee needs to think carefully about how are you going to minimize the visual impact of that. And the short answer is, you can put the antennas up on the roof, and we'll all see that, or you can screen them, maybe with a fiberglass fence, which will have the effect of adding another floor to the height of the building. I'm not sure there are other options here, but I'll explain in a moment. I've looked at the zoning regulations, and it appears to me that in the central business district, by right, an owner of a building can put as many as they want up, meeting two criteria. First off, every piece of equipment has to be on a monopole. There's no like huge towers with, and the monopole can't even have guy wires. And that's pretty much what we have on the Mill Pond building now. The other thing is that these poles can be no higher than 15 feet above the roof. I'm not, town council, other people can explain whether there's a way for the town to say, we don't want them, we're not going to permit them. But I don't, it looks to me like by right, those are the only two criteria that they need to meet. This is a really lucrative business, renting to these companies, and I would think that most owners would be inclined to maximize as many of the, we have 3 main carriers that cover Winchester. Each of them are going to want an absolute minimum of 4 of these, one facing each direction. If they have multiple radios of different types, they're going to want more. The developer has said that he doesn't think all of the ones that are on the Mill Pond building are currently operative. That's possible, but I can't tell by looking at them. But there's 30 of them. So the radios on the Mill Pond building, if you look at it, are mounted, they're hung off the edge of the roof and they come down. So they're not 15 feet high above the roof. But I don't think there's any way to do that with this building. You would be bringing antennas down in front of people's residences. So you're going to be stuck with the roof-mounted hardware with a limit of 15 feet poles. The developer has also suggested that cell phone technology has gotten a lot better and things are smaller now. And I want to make clear that you understand that that probably doesn't apply to this project. The current generation of cell phones is called 5G, 5th generation. It's been out, they're still rolling it out. And one of the new things in 5G was a little baby transceiver that you could put on a lamppost or a telephone pole. They have a range of a few hundred feet. They can't come close to covering Winchester. They're used in urban districts where it's really useful to have really good high-speed cell phone connection for thousands of people on the street. The signals that those little transmitters make can't even penetrate a building. So the kind of cell phone service that I think we expect is not going to be that. To the best of my knowledge, the 5G radios that are being installed now look just like the ones on the Mill Pond building. They'll just be higher coming off of your roof. I checked tonight, we have 5G in this room. I don't know whether it's from the Mill Pond building, but it wouldn't surprise me at all. They've been rolling out 5G since 2022. So I'm just saying, I really think you should think about this. I myself would love to get that 6th floor out. I would hate to just add it back with cell phone equipment, but that's a lot better than adding a 7th floor to the building. So I think that this committee should really think through, first off, figure out whether you can say no. One of our conditions is no cell phone equipment on the building. I don't know the answer to that, but it's a negotiating consideration because it's very lucrative to the owner. And that's really all I had to say. It looks like my picture didn't come up, but I can tell you, look at
He's
the...
working on
I'm
trying to get it
It's on my computer. This
Not
isn't
on that
connected
computer.
to
That's
my-
why I said it might take a
I
moment.
can just tell you that what's in the photo that I included looks like what's on the Mill Pond building today.
Question. I have a question, Mr. Randolph. Thank you for your letter. It was very informative. I had one question. In there, you said that these 5G transmitters that would be on this have a range of 2.9 miles. Am I correct?
What I said, and that was a typo, was 2.6 was the
Okay, that's
correct
fine, but
number. I looked at the farthest distance from this site, the Mill Pond building, to the farthest reach of Winchester. It's 2.6 miles.
Okay. Do you think that that is the only transmitter in town?
I don't know.
Because I know that there are transmitters on the Stetson building, which is next to the Congregational Church. I know there are also transmitters in the bell tower and the Baptist Church.
Hidden in a lot of
and so
bell
there's
towers
lots-
and other...
2015, Verizon told me when I could not get service on Swanton Street that they were only allowed to put them downtown.
Interesting. Well, I do know that, because I used to be on the Historical Commission, and we had to approve placement of those.
Right.
So I know that those two buildings in particular, I'm assuming there must be more scattered around town. So does that mean that they need that kind of power in this location if there are other transmitters around town?
It's up to every carrier. We have three. It's Verizon, T-Mobile, and one other.
AT&T.
AT&T.
Yeah, AT&T. Each network has their own way of reaching everybody, and they can, like these little transmitters that go along a city street
Right.
can relay stuff so that you can get from point A to point B, but you need a whole... So depending on where they have other towers that can relay things, and each of the carriers is going to have a different story.
So I guess if there are others around downtown and scattered around the town, then we wouldn't need these big ones that you pictured in your letter. I'm just guessing. I don't know.
I will tell you what I think,
Okay.
or what I think I know. I'm not an expert. I am a telecom engineer. I spent most of my time doing lightning protection for these structures. I didn't design the networks. But to me, from what I understand, there is the little baby one that can go on a light post. The next one up looks like what's on the Mill Pond.
So there's nothing in between.
And then there's another one that actually doesn't really have more range, but it has faster data.
I see. Okay.
And but the one that I think would be the default choice for these carriers would be about what's on the building. And I could be wrong. So I don't want to. That was all I wanted to communicate. I just wish you would think it through.
Yep.
And to me, it's an incentive to take off that sixth floor. There are ways to try to hide and whatever the equipment, but you can't make it invisible.
Thank you very much.
Yes. I'll move over here.
I think I saw another hand raised before. That was you. Yes. Come on up.
Joints are sore for sitting so long.
Same, girl.
Actually, I think the existing building looks fine. I don't think it's ugly. Good evening. My name is Maureen Mansfield. I'm a resident here since 2002, and I want to thank you for this opportunity. I had wanted to attend these meetings in the past. However, I'm a vice chair of a nonprofit that meets on Tuesdays. In fact, I missed tonight's meeting, but I'm here. I wanted to say that I support the development, and I think it should be no higher than the current building and leave existing green spaces for public sidewalks around the waterways. But frankly, with the proposed width of the new building, I think a height of 3 or 4 floors is sufficient. And that would help to preserve our cherished views of Winchester's frequent spectacular sunsets, which many people dive out to take pictures and enjoy. I'm very concerned about the underground parking. and under the building due to its impact on the water table and the conservation areas, along with worries that the underground parking space should spring a leak and worries should an electrical car catch on fire. I wonder how these situations would impact the residences above our waterways and our emergency response. I would like to see all parking on ground level. This is based on my experiences from working on the Big Dig and also from being pulled out of a burning car, thanks to a Good Samaritan. These experiences have opened my eyes to the many lessons learned from the Big Dig, as digging below the ground had never been done before. And other unforeseen developments led to several unintended and negative consequences. Another concern I have is the impact on our safety vehicles. Our fire engines and our only ambulance in town located right across the street so that they can maneuver safely and effectively in case of an emergency. I understand that from tonight's meeting, I think the fire department did sign off on it, but somehow I just envision rush hour with the cars waiting to pull underground and there would be some kind of a backup, an emergency. And I think that would be really disastrous for public safety. So I wanted to also just, we were talking about eliminating that and redoing the cost on your, and I know you want to make a certain profit. However, I don't think the town, I don't think there's any specific regulations of what kind of a profit you'd have to make. So, and I do support affordable housing. I think that's very important to give everybody an opportunity, especially with the Mega and BTA station in town. So thank you for listening, and I signed up on Jason Rodier's list, so if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me. Right, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Please put your name on the list if you don't mind.
Yeah. Additional, come on up.
Good evening. My name is Dennis Dale. I'm at 147 Cambridge Street. I've been a landscape architect for 35 years. I've actually started out working with Gary Larson, who is now Warner Larson. I don't think Gary is working on the firm anymore, but he's probably emeritus. A couple quick points. I'm looking at the survey plan. They're missing trees along the entrance to the bikeway right on Mount Vernon Street. And also, the only tree that's shown is the large willow tree. It doesn't show the pine trees also along Millbrook, so that should be put on there. Which actually, as a landscape architect, really bothers me that someone's not paying attention to that side of it, and there's been all this stuff with this particular project and conservation that you would miss that important item on the plans. The other kind of things I was looking at on the plans was that there's what's called a concrete washout area right next to that large willow that would be nice to retain. The other thing I was looking at is that I know they talked about the compensation for the flood infiltration containers that they have identified, so that the bottom of those chambers for the flood control is at 18. The mean high water table for the brook is at 18. So I'm curious about the compensatory storage that they're allowing for, because beneath those chambers is crushed stone that is also supposed to be part of that compensatory storage. It's calculated in that. So I know that's being reviewed, or someone's reviewed it, but it seems really close to where your high mean flood level is exactly the same height as the bottom of the chambers. So what does that mean? I'm not sure. I just know that often that becomes an issue with those chambers. The other thought I had is I know the fire chief had already said that they're looking at this, but building at 6 stories, projects I've had worked on, oftentimes they require a fire lane around the building that they can get a truck to a particular side. Now, if it's 6 stories tall, do we have a ladder truck to meet that height? And do they need to be on the mill pond side, which means do they have the H20 loading capacity over top the chambers that they have all the way along the mill pond side? So that's a question I had there. Looking just briefly at the landscape plan, because everything is grayed out along the pond, it appears that the landscape plan is just random. It doesn't relate to the bike path or to the willow trees or the pine trees, and that there's a scattering of picnic tables throughout that whole space, and it just seemed really odd to me. It's like, and they do have on their plans that they submitted, I believe they give the size of the caliper of the trees. So when the town wants to have large canopy trees you're talking about, you want to specify like a 3.5 or 4-inch caliper tree, and that's a big tree. So that would be one of the things you might want to put in your requirements, that when we do get down to that. I've looked at the River Street project, the sanctuary over on just off Cross Street. It's a 5-story building. It's set back off the curb by 30 feet. It's still a massive building. It's worth seeing what a 5-story building looks like. And it has a 4-story brick face and then a 5th-story setback. And in terms of dealing with the ground floor units, they just have an aluminum picket fence and some low U's around the edge of it, and that's how they handled, a kind of an outdoor patio space for those units. But even the sanctuary that's over in front of, or just off from Whole Foods, is only a 5-story building, and that's a massive building when you look at it. Okay, now it's up on top of the hill. One of the things, going back to the historical commission questions, is that I remember that project being sold. I spent 2.5, 3 hours with the developer talking to me because he happened to know some of the architects that I know. And he was really pushing that project. And the whole concept of the building being as big as it was, and its association with essentially all the municipal buildings associated with Town Hall, Library, Lincoln School, that was the sole push of that particular project. We're going to make it big, and we're going to make it be a big municipal building. Well, the village, in my mind, is just on the other side of the brook. The mill pond finds a retail area, and any of the sketches that were done always, showed kind of an open space in between in smaller buildings. That was done by Dennis Carlone. So I was just curious about, one of the people, even come to find out, had thought that when they voted on the historical commission that it was a done deal, though. So she just went along with the crowd. So that's why it was a 5-0 vote at the time. So there was a lot of other stuff going on when that project was pushing ahead. And the other thing is a question about transformer locations. They're usually, for this size building, pretty big deal. They're about the size of this table because there's a gravel surround, and the units are usually 3.5, 4, maybe 5 feet tall. So that, unless it's in the building, it usually isn't, because they want to have bollards around it and all that. I'm just wondering where that is located on the site, because that's an important element to be aware of. The other thing is that I've been down there in terms of traffic. The tractor-trailer truck comes around the corner and delivers stuff to CVS. And it stops and delivers. So that tractor-trailer truck just is able to weave its way through there and head back out to Main Street. So that's something I wasn't sure whether the traffic study had looked at that as one of the elements in terms of the turning radiuses for that. But those are I think all the things I was kind of coming to and saying that, the other thing is that looking at the website from Hassin's, the architects, they've done some great projects in Alston. And 83 Gardner Street in Alston is a 4-story building, 38-unit project. It fits into the neighborhood beautifully. I can see why it would work with Hassin, because that's a great building. The other building that's kind of associated with that is 55 Brighton Street in Alston, which is 5 stories at 77 units, but it still has more or less a lower profile. But again, it's in a very urban area. So I'm finding that the concept of the building being the shape and character that it is, I mean, if it was multiple buildings put together, if it looked like it had some over time development, it might be more appropriate, it might fit more in with the village. But this large, massive building is, it's just not village. We're not. I mean, it's a lot of reasons why people came to Winchester is because of the small village character. So, I mean, most likely trying to take the 6-story off, which seems a little bit like it was a ploy to begin with, because the building looks really top heavy with that big green thing on top of it. 5 stories would be the max, 4 stories would be appropriate. So those are my points. Thank you very much for listening. If it means anything. I'm sure it does.
We have time for one more public comment. If any,
Oh, go ahead. No. I'll be very brief. Okay. Because I think we've already heard my viewpoint. I'm Gail Fensky. I live at 193 Mystic Valley Parkway, not far from here. I'm a registered architect. I'm also an architectural and urban historian. I've lived here since 1980 for 40 years. And I love the town. I know a lot about the history of the town just because it's interesting to me as a historian. I am deeply enamored of Rand, the architect, George Dutton Rand, Frederick Law Olmsted Jr., what he did for the town center, Mystic Valley Parkway, that's Charles Eliot. It's part of that great set of parkways that surround Boston. It's got a great history, and it goes, of course, we all know it's a Victorian town. And has just been said, I think I'm repeating probably what many people have said. This is my first meeting here, so forgive me if I am, and just want to emphasize what I just heard, that there is a village-like character here. We all know that. And I'm looking at these drawings, and I know David Hassin is a very talented architect, but somehow I'm not seeing in here that village quality. Even the handling of the street looks very commercial, looks very urban. It looks like it belongs somewhere else and not here. So I'm mostly just here to weigh in as a citizen and who's been somebody who's been involved for a long time with the architecture of Winchester, with showing friends around Winchester, with telling people about the history of Winchester. And I think those are my main points. I'd love to see 4 stories, more sensitivity in the scale, and I know Hassin can do it. So,
thank you very much. So with that, we have to take her.
Yeah, just add your name to the
Oh yeah, yes.
comments.
I was going to close public comment because it's 9:30 and we have some other business. There will be an opportunity for public comment again. This is not the end. We need to have a motion to continue this public hearing to the 27th of January.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Carrie?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Thank you very much for your comments. There will be, like I said, there will be more opportunity. This is not the last chance. And I'll give you guys 2 minutes if you want to. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but I just want to give you 2 minutes if you want to go, because I don't want.
Do you need me to stay?
For you to go.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Do you need me for the 27th? I can be here if you can.
of what we have. Any board or staff updates that we have?
I would like to know if you have a plan for getting a bylaw change for short-term housing for spring. Do you want, who's working, can we work on that?
For spring?
I mean, we had talked about it, and we gotta get going if we're gonna.
So we talked about a number of bylaw changes that need to happen. And my impression, which I could have been wrong, was when I brought this up at a meeting, it was sort of like we don't have the bandwidth to do it now. Maybe that because we also need to change or look at. Help me, John. The one we were looking at.
It's a 3.55.
But there is a little urgency to the short. If we start collecting a tax on them, the select board agreed to wait until fall if we bring a bylaw change to spring. Do you want me to see what we can do around that? Ian has some expertise in this, right?
Yeah.
So I thought we left the last meeting as Ian has some expertise in that. I mean, do you want me to do a little work around
that
it?
would be lovely. I thought I left
Kind of defining it, is that it?
Yeah, just do it. What do we want to say?
I mean, it's tight to get it done by town meeting, but not impossible. And especially if somebody champions it. I
just don't want to drop it and then like backdoor codify it by starting to collect a tax starting in the fall.
Yeah.
Without a bylaw change. So they kind of gave us the courtesy window of spring.
Just
So
take
I
the
guess.
lead, I'll support you.
Okay.
I agree. Because like I said, we do need to look at 355, which has a couple of issues. It has the issue of demolition of a non-conforming,
yes.
which is problematic. And then it has that whole section refers to the ZBA being the permit granting authority, yet the center business district, we are, anywhere, center business district and Main Street mixed use, we are the permit granting authority. So it was told to us by council that if somebody in those areas wanted to do pre-existing non-conforming and maybe add a structure on it, it might have to go to the ZBA and to us.
Forced cooperation. We won't have that.
Well, but two different permit granting
I know.
authorities
No,
for the
that's a
same
mess.
project
That's
is
a
insane.
mess.
It's
I agree
already-
with you.
It's not fair.
No, I agree with you.
It's
I
already
thought that
ugly.
was your.
So-
I'm ready to support you.
So what
in
we need to do is that the whole section needs to be changed. Instead of changing, and this is my opinion, instead of changing center business district or Main Street mixed use, that section needs to replace ZBA with special permit granting authority in the entire section. And then at the end, it just needs to define special permit granting authority is the ZBA here, and it's the, something like that. But there was thinking that both of these might benefit from waiting until we get some work on site plan review, which is underway
Yeah.
or going to be underway potentially. So trying to get
I
those
agree
done by
with that.
spring
So
might not be
maybe
worth.
But trying to get this one done by spring, I think.
Yeah, I support Kerry.
No, certainly if you want to pick it up,
I may not get reelected, in which case I will be passing
Oh,
a burning baton to somebody, but I'm happy to do the work until the last hour of my tenure.
I would just request any petition that we have be submitted by the last day of February.
Okay.
I just need that time.
Guess who you'll be seeing lots of pretty
Yeah, I
soon.
think the deadline for submission is like the third week of March, isn't
Yeah,
it?
something like that, and we need
Like
to have
the
a public
third Friday,
hearing.
kinda.
we'd post a public hearing, and we'd probably need to do the dog and pony show to the different departments, in
Yeah.
town, not to different boards and committees. Select board's going to want to look at it before we,
Yeah.
I don't think school committee will care. I don't think housing partnership board
I don't-
might care. They might.
I
It's,
can ask him on
I mean,
Wednesday
it's-
next week.
so it's just I meant if there's a lot of things to go around that would have to do that. Lest we bring it to town meeting and someone stand up and say, "This is the first time I've ever seen this." Now we've heard that. And it's been not true.
Unbeknownst to many, I have some familiarity with bringing bylaws to town meeting.
Only big ones though. Have you brought small ones too?
Depends on how we're ranking. I mean, I know. That's why I want to make sure that we're thinking about it ASAP. So I'm happy to chat with Ian about it.
Okay. Any other board updates?
No.
Staff updates?
I have well, I'll say it now because we're just going into other business. I would like to have, based off of the discussion tonight, this is not talking about the meeting, any information that the board wants prepared for the next meeting, the sooner you let me know that you want it prepared, the more likely you will get.
We will obviously run into the fact that we need a detailed landscaping plan, we need a detailed roof plan, we need a bit more architectural detail in some of our.
We want, I think we want some kind of preliminary.
Where are we on materials?
Short-term.
So let's be careful talking about the project.
Let's not talk about the project. But my specific question is, if we want to have more information on the legality of payment in lieu of.
Right.
I want to know that now so that I can work with town council, so that I can prepare a memo, so that I can get that information to you.
Okay.
If we want more information on, what the lamp is going to be replaced on the street with, like those specific details, so that I can get it to you for the next meeting.
I know they are cumbersome, but I sometimes think that 1 hour to just hash that stuff out together would be helpful. Yeah, just post them.
Just not buying a cup.
We can do it on the 27th.
Yeah, we can. We have this clash of we have to get through this project quickly, which I don't know if I agree with, and also we have to only meet every once a month in public hearing. I'm well, then it's going to take a while because we have a lot of questions.
I think we don't have to rush anything in anything we do, but there are time frames that are reasonable to do everything. I'm not talking about this project in particular, and there are time frames in general that we do have to follow. I don't think based on I don't want to talk about any project in specific.
So we're going to have 3 January back.
I'm telling you, we're meeting weekly for a really long time, so this is already an incredible luxury that we're only doing twice a month.
Okay. So, yeah, I think that's a point well taken. And what I was trying to do during the public hearing is make sure that the questions that we asked, or got to.
Is there, we have thrown out there a couple of times whether we reverse the direction of 10 Converse, and it's always we don't know. And is there anything, can we get there? What would decide that? I keep thinking about it. Does it take pressure off the fire? The rush hour question was a good one. If traffic's backing up, do we block?
Well, it's such a nuanced question. Or is it a permanent? Is it just during construction? Are we looking at all these things? A lot of these questions, that one in particular, you have to decide, is us knowing this right now going to change my opinion on whether this project should be approved or not?
Fair enough.
If it does not change your opinion right now, you say, I'm going to make it a condition that you have to work with staff, or that it has to come back to the planning board and be reviewed again. But you need to make that determination of what is critical right now, so that you can keep moving through the process and use your conditions as an opportunity to bring the project back to you when crucial elements are being prepared or are ready.
I think I'm just trying to peek behind the veil and figure out what you're are we missing something that you will accidentally answer by saying we can't decide until we know this thing? What are we not thinking about for the traffic flow? I don't think there's a good answer, and we're all getting tired, so it's okay.
Yeah, and there's always going to be something that we're not thinking about.
Well, to answer your question, we will think and pass it along.
So, any other business?
I hesitate to bring it up.
But there is?
Trivia bee.
Oh, the trivia bee.
The trivia bee. What's the date of that?
March 11th, but there's
a deadline for the discount. Discount rate.
Oh, that's right.
I would. Oh, good, he's back. So Nick I just volunteered you, Nick.
Yeah, thank you for leading that.
You're going to be in charge of the Trivia Bee team. We're excited for your leadership.
I'd be on it, but I'm too afraid of questions like Taylor Swift songs and things like that.
Oh, no, we got the Beyonce song wrong last year.
See, that's where I lose. But you got history and stuff like that. I'm gonna ace it.
Okay.
Well, then get someone else. He did it last year. I don't know. I'm not.
See, I knew this was.
We hit on Ian's was it cartography? We hit on vexillology. They randomly tapped into.
We were the only ones who got that one right because
I better count myself out.
It was fun. I mean, I'm horrible at it. I will always. I've probably been in it 5 times, and I'm
Probably been in it
a
5
bigger
times.
disaster
Always
every time.
One year on the school committee, we had Karen roll an essay. It's really good. So we made it to the final round, and then we lost.
So to me, that's almost worse. Like making it for me to the final round would be so mortifying because
No.
then the pressure.
That's the goal.
We could recruit more.
I've been
to
at
do
those
it.
high pressure trivia tables like as the weak link, and it's so stressful.
So if we want to put a team together, it is like, I think it's like $350. It all goes to the school. It's a
It's
donation.
$330, and then this discount, I forget what it's.
So it's like split in thirds. If we invite a staff member who volunteers to go, you split it in half, and the staff member, we're not asking staff members to pay. So therefore,
Yeah.
It's either thirds if 3 of us do it, or half if.
Where did we just land? Wait, are you volunteering? So do we have now John, Nick, and Ian? Is that how this landed?
I'll pay for all of it. I'm going to be in Rome. I'll pay the thing, but whatever it is.
I will do it if 2 other people want to do
I'm
it.
happy to chip in, but I'm not going to, I mean, you know, if all
Is
of
it a
this.
return of the dream team? Tell me now.
Yeah, sure. And I'll be there to
Interested in
cheer.
being on it, or just want to be like a spectator from to home and TV?
You're talking about an extra meeting, and also I have to pay for it.
But it goes. It's for the children.
Do you have a 5th grader?
I have a 4th grader.
Okay, next year they can.
Next year they
Yeah.
compete.
They could represent the school. It's really cute for the kids. It's
So
fun.
this is something that we can actually email around and talk about.
Yes.
So let's follow up on that before.
Yeah,
before-
I'm happy to be the sacrificial
Me
lamb
too.
again.
The minutes are already approved. Those are not real, right?
We did that last time.
So motion to
Oh,
adjourn.
the state of the town was accepted by the select board last night, so that stage of it is over. You were there, I was there, we were there.
I was very appreciative that you took on the state of the
I
town.
would say I was
And you
speaking
agreed
on
to
that as
continue
well.
on.
Here's my trivia performance.
So Carrie agreed to continue on as our state of the town
I can't
rep
wait.
in
You know what I
perpetuity.
hate? Friday mornings to myself. I resent them. How do you fill those hours?
Motion to adjourn.
I move that
So
we
moved.
adjourn.
Oh,
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, WinCam.
thank you, Morris.